Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the law offices of Grumpy, Drunk, and Exhausted, the site of the final night of Giant Bomb's E3 2013 coverage. I'm Ryan Davis. Joining me here on the panel tonight, we have special guest Steptoe from, well, I guess from his own damn self.
Yes.
From the internet.
I know, from the internet.
The internet's own.
Indeed.
The internet's own. I'm owned by the internet.
And we're also graced with the presence of Eve from Microsoft. What's your, Master and Commander? Is that the current title?
Gaming Ninja.
Gaming Ninja.
Yes.
Do we have a card? Can you prove that? No.
Gaming left.
He can. He totally can.
Damn it.
He totally can.
That's what I get for questioning it, for doubting it at all.
It's in Japanese, though.
Someone else's card. There's someone else's card.
All right, you fished that out.
All over there. In the briefcase.
And Greg Kasavin from Supergiant Games.
What's up?
Thank you for coming out here.
Of course.
Everyone having a big, super busy show here at E3, obviously. You know, Xbox One making a big debut, and Transistor making a big show on PlayStation 4. Of course, we have Alex Navarro, Brad Shoemaker, and Jeff Gersman.
Hello.
Joining us here as well, having a fun-filled final day here on the show. So I want to talk to you guys first.
About what?
Stuff. Whatever.
Things
Headphone
happen.
mics, yellow sunglasses, whatever comes to mind, I guess.
Gangster shit. Keeping it real.
Legal topics, legal concerns. I want to know what you guys have been up to at the show here this year. Now that you are a free house elf, what are you what are you up to at E3?
Honestly, this has been the best E3 I think I've ever been to, not necessarily because of what was going on at the show, but because I didn't have to do 4 weeks of prep before I got here, and I was able to attend it as an attendee, so I didn't have any meetings or other things. I saw a lot of amazing stuff on the floor. I mean, not just the consoles, the reveals were great, but I'm really just stoked about the games. I mean, I saw so many great things, and I can't wait to talk in detail about my best of show stuff, but it's been really about the games for me this week.
Yeah. Well, let's. I don't want to wait. Let's not prance around the topic. Let's jump in. What caught your fancy?
What caught my fancy, probably if I were to pick the top three, I'm going to go with, I'll start from the bottom, Destiny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that made just an incredible showing.
Super cool.
I mean, wow. I mean, who doesn't like Bungie anyway? But they're really making an amazing platform.
Yeah, and I was wondering going in, having been to events where they very deliberately didn't show the game.
Right.
Is this just gonna feel like Halo? Is it gonna run at that same speed? Is it gonna have the same jump height? All that same stuff? And no, they're really making it its own thing. You still kind of see Bungie touches in the style of it and stuff like that. But in terms of, it's a pull down the left trigger to aim, pull down the right trigger to shoot type of shooter, which is that's not a Bungie shooter in the classical sense.
But that grandiose sci-fi scale, they're still operating on that sort of level as Halo, but still a unique aesthetic. I just loved everything that they showed at the press conference.
You can see there's a universe there.
I was just happy to find out what the hell that game is. And it seems like the big revelation for me was that they're basically building a better Borderlands, it is a loot game. It is guns with exotic names.
That's going to be pretty tough.
That do crazy things.
The guns were very Borderlands reminiscent. That was maybe I loved it. It's in my top three. But the one thing that I wasn't, it's God, that's a little too reminiscent for me. But I sat through the, 15, 20-minute theater presentation, and I walked out going, I can't wait to play this game.
Yeah, it showed really well. My number two would have to be Titanfall. Mm-hmm. And how many at the table actually saw the live demo that they were running at the booth?
Yep. Yeah,
where they actually ran you through the
full multiplayer match.
And then and I don't want to... Well, I guess I can spoil it now because the show's over, right? In the middle of the demo, they did something I've never seen anyone do before. You're watching... For those who don't know, your standard E3 booth demo, two guys are in the back running you through a level, right? And in the middle of this, they're playing, they're dying, which is something you don't see in a demo. They're getting killed, they're not doing too well, and they pull a curtain back in the middle of the booth to reveal 15 real live people playing Titanfall on the other side of a glass wall, and that's who they were playing against.
That's awesome.
And you suddenly realize you're not watching we practice this 500 times demo.
Yeah.
You're watching real live multiplayer gameplay.
The thing I loved seeing was you can eject out of your Titan right before it explodes, and then other people on the other team can try to snipe you out of the air while you're up there. I saw them both successfully get sniped out, and I saw people try it and miss. which tells me, hey, this is
Again,
real
doesn't
gameplay.
happen in a demo.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about sniping people out of the air like that because you can also like land on the other guy's mech and they have a little
Shoot the
rodeo
brain
ride
out
and
and kill
shoot
it.
it out and stuff and
I think they showed the guy getting sniped out of the eject pod, like even in the Microsoft conference. I was like, oh, that looks so good. It's so many other games they show you these cool like scripted sequences, and it's like, well, it's probably just a cutscene or a quick time event. But everything they showed of Titanfall, it was like I can imagine how I would do that.
Right.
It looked fun to play just looking at it. I didn't get a chance to.
They've mastered
Yeah.
that fast-paced,
Yeah.
really frenetic, focused gameplay.
Yeah.
And I really liked the end of mission. Like it has that kind of Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, like get
rally
out,
point thing.
Get to the chopper.
like having to get to
Now, how many for you guys did one of them only make it at the last half second?
Oh yeah.
Yes, yes. That's
He had
I saw a
apparently-
guy get left behind.
He got left behind.
He's like, I'm coming.
Is that platoon moment of yeah.
and if you make it, you get a bunch of points.
Yeah.
But then if there's still time left, you are laying down covering fire for the remaining guys as they're trying to make it in, and then then you get more points if you don't get shot while you're trying to lay down cover fire. Yeah.
So how do you feel about just the feel of the game?
Yeah,
Were they letting people play it?
I don't know. Were they? I don't know. What?
I thought okay, I guess I don't know.
that game is on the list of things that are not
Sorry.
suitable for hands-on coverage. Let's say.
The thing I walked away from is after seeing that, it's like, okay, when that comes out spring 2014, that's my multiplayer jam.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play that.
Like I don't
crazy.
play a lot of multiplayer shooters. I usually just don't get into that kind of thing. But everything I've seen of that is like, yeah, that's the kind of multiplayer game I would get into and want to get into. So
But a huge amount of big bets on multiplayer stuff in general at this show. I feel like that was just an incredible focus. Even games that you would ostensibly assume would be, have some major single player component, they were really showing a lot of multiplayer stuff, which makes sense for this next gen of hardware where that connectivity for everyone is a very big deal. So
Yeah, my last one was my number one thing. What I actually just saw today, and it actually knocked Titanfall out, was Fantasia.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Fantasia blew me away.
Yep.
I mean,
I did not expect that
I
response.
did not expect
Now I
that
wish
I
I'd
would
gone
be
to
so
see it.
floored.
Oh, you didn't?
We've
It
got-
is an
we've got-
amazing
We've
demo.
got video up on the site.
I know
is a
everyone
really
listening
terrific
is
demo.
probably like basing their opinion on the trailer, and let me tell you, it's not. The trailer's probably not the greatest representation of what this game is. If you've ever played
the trailer's
Child-
terrible.
If
The
you've
trailer-
ever-
it's
if
a
People
terrible
who worked
trailer.
on that game said, yeah, we have basically been trying to work around that trailer.
If
So
you've ever played a game like Child of Eden, where your emotions actually are impacted, what they've done with this game is they've created a much less punishing and much more fun version of that type of game.
Yeah,
sure.
Right? Child of Eden
Yeah.
is a great game. I love it. It's beautiful, but it's really hard. And when you pull off a move in Child of Eden and you do it well, you feel like Neo in the Matrix. But Fantasia looks like it's going to be fun for everyone.
yeah.
they're not going for a skill-based experience by any.
Yeah, it's like they're scoring, but at the same time, it's much more about just you kind of getting into the movement and getting much more into the
Yeah,
sort of the
yeah.
vibe of whatever the song is and whatever remix you're
I've
playing
kind of
with.
the thing that amazed me about Fantasia is, I mean, huge harmonics fan, played tons of Rock Band and Dance Central, but those, especially for someone like me with no musical ability, they're mostly about trying to not screw up.
Yeah.
And it's about trying to memorize things and getting scolded for getting it wrong. Lots of fun, but it's not making music. When I played Fantasia, I felt like I was creating music, which I've never felt like before in my life. Because you're doing these big sweeping conductor-style motions, and as you hit successive moves, the music builds and it gets louder and more chords come in and more instruments.
Well, and then you can change
And
the
it just-
mix.
yeah.
Like the thing where you can change it to the different styles.
orchestral or
Yeah,
80s
or
guitar.
the hard rocking, or just the crazy electro stuff. Like that really gives it a nice edge that you wouldn't otherwise get if you were just playing the song straight.
And then it's not even just like this full instrumental shift either.
No.
It's like we can choose the drums from this set. We can choose some backing
Yeah.
vocals from this set.
It's subtle.
Yeah.
And it is a feeling I have never had before in my life. And
Well, clearly, you
I just
never
had this
played
big
Mad
dumb
Maestro
grin.
for the PlayStation 2. So
Oh,
I don't even remember that.
that was a fresh games release. IDOS had
Oh,
this weird.
well, how'd I miss that?
Japanese
Yeah.
import
Come
stuff.
on.
Yeah.
God, I actually
I feel bad.
remember that now.
From the people who brought you Mr. Mosquito.
Exactly. Mr.
Oh,
Mosquito
of course.
And
yeah.
Mad Maestro, probably the two. Those are the two fresh
Those,
games.
those two were duking it out for Game of the Year that year. It was real big.
Totally.
So I'm kind of shocked that you
it was a rough
guys.
year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been describing Fantasia to people as it's like the Konami Para Para Paradise arcade game, the kind of hand dancing thing that they did in arcades, and then Electroplankton, the Nintendo kind of weird music toy thing. Because the remix tools and the stuff that you're doing outside of the songs and that just felt like motion controlled versions of that, where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna wave around like this, and it's like it's cutting the music off and cutting it back on and stuff like that. And it works, you know. Like it's cool.
Speaking of Nintendo, I will give honorable mention though. I didn't get my Smash Brothers on the floor,
No.
but Mario Kart 8,
It's
60
good.
frames a second, 1080p.
It's good. It's
I
really good.
think it looks really nice.
Yeah.
It looks really
beautiful.
nice. Yeah.
Honorable mention there.
For you to say that a Mario Kart game,
I'm saying
is
just
really
like
nice,
graphically, it looks really nice.
you to say
it's not
anything nice
necessarily
about a Mario
a game.
For you not to just immediately start making
Really
a
speaks
dismissive
volumes.
wanking
All right, look,
motion
I-
at
yeah.
Mario Kart is,
I played a couple of tracks and
I don't know what that motion is. I don't want to.
It's like at this, like a wanking. How do you
No.
do it?
How do you do?
I was
Oh
Well,
God.
now we're talking technique.
all
Now
right.
let's-
Yeah. No.
All right.
So those are mine.
Those are
your
the top three.
games.
Those are mine.
From the show.
Yep.
That's good picks. E, what have you been up to? You still have like a regular job type job. You can't just flit around and
Right.
You
do
did have to
whatever.
go through all that prep
So
work.
well, thankfully, I don't do booth duty.
Right.
I wasn't at the press conference. Most of what I was down here for was meetings with people who are shipping games in the next, 12 months on either 360 or Xbox One. So a bunch of meetings, but no real prep to do because that's my day job. So I did get a bunch of time to wander the floor and play stuff. So we already talked about my top three. Same three Steptoe has in a different order.
Different order.
I'd say Destiny, Fantasia, Titanfall. Gonna play them all like crazy, but I saw a ton of other games. This is just as a customer, as a gamer, I have never seen an E3 with more games I'm excited to play than I did the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And just from everyone.
And from just every angle too,
Yeah.
There's
All the
just
genre. I mean,
all over
everything.
the place.
Yeah.
Huge variety.
Every single platform. It's like there's stuff on the Vita. Wow, this looks really awesome. It's not necessarily something I expected, but
And I don't know when I'm going to play all these games,
Sure.
but I'm buying lots of them. I'm going to need more space in my house because the amount of both really creative and really technically excellent stuff coming down the pike is just outstanding. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can go into it. I saw a ton of it. Well,
Give us two other ones that we haven't talked about. What are two other big highlights for you?
let's see. So, EVR.
Okay.
So this is, think of a X-Wing versus TIE Fighter style game made for the Oculus Rift by CCP.
That's right. This
And-
is the CCP game.
Yeah.
And little touches like to lock on missiles on your target, you look at him, hold down the left trigger, and keep the cursor on him, and then let go, and the missiles are locked on. That was a lot of fun.
It's just like keep him trained for a certain amount of time. You get a lock, and then launch.
And that was that was the most fun experience I've had with the Oculus Rift so far.
And they were showing that on the 1080p prototype.
No, this was
that was
on the
the
old
original
one.
Rift? Okay.
I tried the 1080p prototype
so
also,
did I.
and that was basically a UE4 demo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was pretty, but there was no game.
Yeah, you
Right.
walk
Walk
around,
around.
you could shoot a particle effect, basically.
But I mean, how'd you feel about the tech of that compared to the original? Is it the latency? Did that feel the same? Or
I didn't notice any latency.
So I talked to them a little bit about what they're doing. They've got the dev kit, and then they are prototyping all these other units where they're like changing one thing. So they've got their 1080p version. They've got other ones where they're adding other tech, leaving the screens alone. They're iterating on all these different technologies independently to kind of see what they want to roll into this shipping consumer version.
yeah.
But the 1080p one is as awesome as you think it is. It eliminates that screen door effect of like seeing the
Right.
individual pixels
Right.
and seeing the divisions between them, and it's still aliased. You can still see pixels, but it's a much more clean, cohesive looking image.
So were there actually guys from Oculus there?
Yeah.
How were they doing?
I met Palmer Luckey. I met the 20-year-old founder of that company.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Who I gather is like a John Carmack level brain,
He's got to be.
basically.
Yeah.
But I was talking to their product guy who was spitting an immense level of technical game at me about all kinds of the things that it's tracking and stuff, and I was like, it's refreshing to see a guy with product guy on his card who can like talk the talk. And he said out of like 30 people at the company, only like 3 don't have engineering degrees. So like it is just a company of guys who know this stuff, and
Yeah.
it's their passion to make it work. That's some impressive stuff.
So the one other thing I'll throw out there, PvZ Garden Warfare.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That everything about that game I love, from the way it kind of mimics the Battlefield opening, but in a zombie specific way, to it's just gorgeous. They were running it's Frostbite 3 on the one, and wow, that was way better than I thought. I guess what I was thinking of as a PvZ game in my head.
Right.
And then I saw it and I was like, wow.
Well, it's hard. It's like until you actually see it, it's hard to imagine like the art style translating to anything outside of what it's been.
Right, playing it on a tablet or whatever.
Well, and
and
the whole
it
thing
translates.
The whole thing
great.
sounds like such a crass capitalization
Yeah.
on the
Right,
brand,
doesn't it?
but
Right.
when you look at it and you actually see what's going on, it's like, no, there's clearly a lot more like TLC that's gone into that than just like, hey, let's get another fucking Plants vs Zombies thing out there
It
now.
does look
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a game made
Yeah.
with some craft. You know,
Yeah.
like they care about.
And
what they're doing.
it's primarily like a co-op, like wave-based survival.
It's 4-person co-op, I think.
Yeah.
The thing I kept hearing was like it's sort of like a much prettier but plant-based Trenched. It's that thing where it's like it's a mixture of
yes.
sort of like shooting and the tower defense all kind of mixed together.
Trenched or Sanctum
Yeah.
or absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
And actually, okay, this is 3, but the other one I'll throw out, Project Spark.
Yeah.
That's one that
You saw that
so
today, right?
Yeah, that was my first demo today. Was
I
Project Spark.
freaking love that. I've gotten to play with the alpha a little bit, and the level of things you can build, the way people can remix what you've done. I mean, the fact that you can crank out a tower defense game or Geometry Wars or whatever in this, what is in a lot of ways a teaching tool. Its roots are in Project Kodu. I mean, wow. I can't wait to get that in the hands of more kids.
It is one of those things where it's like it goes well beyond something like Little Big Planet, but like kind of along those same ideas of like game creation as the game, and then seeing just how far people are able to push the tools. And during the demo they were giving at the Microsoft booth, they had one of the things they showed was like a functioning keyboard, and they had it up on a big smart glass display, so they were tapping on that and playing the keys as it was going. They could record sections, they could set lay down a drum beat on it and then play that
crazy.
stuff back.
Okay.
Like it was like sophisticated, and this was all just in the tools that are in Project Spark. And then obviously they showed a bunch of stuff of just kind of like polygonal, just kind of world creation stuff. If you're running around and you're just like kind of modifying geometry on the fly, you're painting it with like all these different kind of prefab like environmental texture, like not even just texture, but like full on biome like groups of different objects. So you can just say
Forest.
You can be specific. You can be like, okay, I want this dirt and I want grass over here, and I'm going to put down this rock right here. I'm going to put down this tree here. Or you can say biome, sweep your hand across, and then just boom, the whole thing just kind of sprouts up with all this stuff around it. You can run around with your little dude, and just as you go, it seems like you can just in the wake of your path, you can create geometry. You can create the actual the textures and all that
they had
stuff.
the press conference demo where the one guy with the tablet was essentially allowing the character to surf on some terrain
like
that
Silver
was being
Surfer
created.
or
Although I
whatever.
found it kind of curious that you would be using the tablet for that kind of thing and not the expensive camera that's bundled with the system. I don't know what
in the demo they
thinking
also
is there.
specifically weren't talking about like how far they're taking the Kinect stuff,
Yeah.
but they're talking about Windows 8 beta coming soon. They're talking about Xbox One. They showed a bunch of stuff with just straight up controller support. Obviously, a lot of the smart glass stuff was a big deal, which to me was kind of the thing that tripped me up. Was like it seemed like the coolest way to experience this was going to require stuff that I don't necessarily have. It was sort of like I don't have a smart glass display that's 40 inches across or whatever they were showing there, which that was a really cool way to show that thing off, but that's not something I'm going to have in my house, for that purpose.
You need a new coffee table. Come on.
I think second screen is becoming, that's what we kind of call it in the industry, is this moving UI.
Oh, is it?
moving, Yes, it is.
Thank you for the short.
Moving it over to these
Little
other-
inside baseball, don't you think?
as opposed to the last time I was
yeah.
And the now, sir, don't make me get the other book that contradicts that precedent.
I'm actually honestly
see
just
here, Government Code Section 818, codified as part of the 1963 Government Tort Claim Act, Claim Statute of Tort Claim Act. Statute notwithstanding any other provision of law, a public entity is not liable for damages awarded under Section
You know what's really
3294 of the
amazing?
Civil Code of other damages imposed primarily for the sake
He's
of
been in this
example
room
and
too
by
long.
way of punishment, punishing the
This is actually our
defendant.
first night in this room.
Wait,
the really
I
impressive
wanna
thing
know
is
what
that
the
these are
Post-it
real
notes
books. I'm totally surprised that these are actually real legal books and not just like
Yeah,
the
for
fakey
anyone who's
books.
listening, these are all real
surprised he knows
books.
how to read.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
But if you look at like the Division and the way that you can be like a spotter on the tablet,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. That's fascinating to me. That's like exciting because that means like a friend of mine who doesn't own a console can potentially participate in our gaming experience because they've invested their money in a tablet.
Yeah, I think some of those things, it has to be like robust enough for that to, like the stuff I saw, it seemed really interesting in like a prototype sort of sense that I just don't know that that's something that people would do repeatedly.
Where I think it's interesting is it's not my friend who doesn't have one. I think it's more interesting is my friend who's going to come play with me, but he's on the bus home, and so he's got some time to kill. Hey, we're already playing. Jump in and spot for us, and then when you get home, fire up your console.
Right.
Okay.
So
It reminds me of kind of the Mario Galaxy thing. It's like parents with kids or whatever. It's like
Well, it's definitely like it's the extension of that. It's the building of that idea of you want someone just to kind of be able to help out versus just
And second,
like Battlefield Commander, Battlefield 4 kind of commander mode.
That commander mode, by the way, was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that's back.
The second screen thing is it's obviously like this is the year when everyone is. It's like every Xbox One demo I saw had at least some version of that. Like a lot of the Ubisoft stuff I saw, they had some version of that in there. And I don't know if this just is my like my old man cantankerous moment of like I just don't want this, but I don't want it, and I realize that maybe puts me on the outside or the fringe of like what things are being pushed toward, but I don't see the point of it.
for me at least, and everyone's got a different play style, but when I'm playing on my console, I'm in my cushy recliner with my laptop right next to me, and I have Twitter and IM and a whole bunch of things open. So if there's something over there that can make my experience better or make me more likely to win, like here's a heat map of where I've died so far this round. Oh, I should avoid that one area. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
that's
How
a win.
many of you guys have tried the Smart Glass app or Smart Glass integration with HBO Go for Game of Thrones?
I haven't at all.
Greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you're watching the show, and in real time, it displays a map of where the scene is. It tells you the characters that are currently involved, and it is so like it's a dense show, right?
It is,
And the second screen experience is optional,
yeah, sure.
right? And for most games, it is too.
And that's the thing is, I that it is optional is what isn't. I mean, it basically the ubiquitousness of it at the show this year is what started to drive me a little bit crazy. But I realize that all of it is very much optional, and I don't have to do any of it, and that's fine. It's just
It's like multi-mon on a PC.
Yeah.
You don't have to have it, but multi-monitor is.
Dead Rising 3 is actually.
No, multi-monitor, I have to have it.
Yeah, me too.
point.
Again,
I have to have second screen now too.
again, it is optional in Dead Rising 3, but they are locking content behind it, even if it's trivial content like some extra costumes and a couple of abilities. There is still some tiny sliver of that game you can't access without another device there. Which
What do we think about just the logistics of content creation for this stuff? Like, for the Game of Thrones things to work, for that to be meaningful, it's got to be more than what I'm going to pull up on Wikipedia on my laptop or on my phone, because that's already that experience is already being done ad hoc with just whatever's out there. Right?
That's a good point.
Not a custom thing. So that means that someone has to create this stuff beat for beat to go along with whatever the content is that the main thing is that you're looking at here, whatever it is that this is supplementing. So, like. That seems like that is just another avenue that content has to be made on, and that beyond that format, I don't necessarily see where else that stuff gets applied.
In a lot of cases, though, the content's already there. It's just not being surfaced, like in the heat map thing. Lots of shooters.
Right?
So lots of shooters are already doing heat maps, and you can go in, and see what's going on, but you can't do it during the game because then you're in the menu instead of playing.
Right.
So, hey, that data's already there.
Yeah.
Just send it over here to my
sending to a
PC
different
or my
place so I don't
tablet or
have
my
to-
phone, and let me see it in real time.
I think for me, like the big like multitasking disconnect I'm having right now is with like this kind of snap view stuff on Xbox One, like the idea of like have this Skype call going while you're doing this other thing, and for me that's like if I'm playing a game, I want the full screen. So it's almost like, and also I have a tablet and I have a phone, and I have all these other things that I can turn to for those sorts of experiences. So it ends up being like, just look at that and go like, that's, I guess that's for someone, but I would never sacrifice any percentage of my screen real estate for anything other than I bought this TV for big ass games, not slightly smaller big ass games. So
With something, I think screen real estate is like the problem, right? You're thinking about where you want to divide that, and I think that's what the second screen opportunity is, pushing stuff away, like giving you more of what you want to see, and then offloading the stuff that you only occasionally want to see to that second screen.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I wish that, or it seems like that's the missed opportunity with the Wii U, is that with that, it is literally the full controller. You know, it is there. It's not
and
you're
a second
screen. So it's not you're holding a controller and then having to look over. It's that it's
all in one.
And it's theoretically all right there.
That's the strength of it.
No one is doing that on that
platform.
platform.
The problem with that thing is that screen kind of sucks. It doesn't really work very well, and it's my first tablet versus like something that actually it has the kind of functionality that something that the smart glass stuff does. So that's why nobody's doing it. I think.
So I'm just have to like take my iPad and take a controller, cut it in half, and just basically build like the Dreamcast controller with a keyboard. The
Dreamcast controller.
Yeah, the Phantasy Star Online controller.
I'm telling you. That was it.
Build that, but with an iPad duct taped to it, and then everything will be fine.
Speaking of controllers.
Oh, that's right.
Not a toy.
My God, what a segue.
What a
Keep that on you at all
segue.
times.
So
He was gracious enough to bring along an Xbox One controller. I think pretty much everyone here is.
Yep.
I messed with
towards
one
the
today.
show here.
I played some Forza today with it.
But
what'd you think of the impulse
I
triggers?
really liked it.
Yeah.
I really.
so I was gonna ask because I didn't see anything that
It's
used that.
subtle. It feels really really nice. Like it's just. Everyone described it to me as amazing. I sort of didn't really get it until I put my hands on it. I was like, yeah, okay, I totally see what they're going for with this.
It's so subtle. You feel like it's going to be this over the top effect.
It's not.
And in that one demo where the helicopter crosses the screen,
Yeah.
and the rumble moves across the controller.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible because you never really had that.
It's
you just
arguably creepy in a way almost.
I would
Like
agree.
it's that level of tactile, but it's cool.
For me, as soon as it was announced, I was like, "That's brilliant!" Like the moment they said, "Like, and now we have rumble in the triggers." I'm
Also,
like, "Oh,
yeah,
that sounds."
D-pad, people, the D-pad finally.
And I think the buttons feel really good.
Yeah.
They're a little shallower, they look a little wider.
They're a
And we
little
should,
bit wider.
We should thank Larry loaned us to this, right? Didn't
Yes.
he?
Break that thing.
I-
Break it right now. Just snap that thing in half.
Yeah,
hurt
he's
their
responsible
controller.
for it. Technically,
actually-
I didn't
Alright.
check it out. So
Larry.
So we are thankful to Larry for that.
Yes.
So is this? I mean, it has the guide button.
yes.
Is that gonna? I guess so. There was someone on Twitter. Someone wrote me on Twitter today and said, "Did you hear the Xbox One doesn't have a power button?" Because I guess Xbox support on Twitter said we don't know anything about the power button, but you can say Xbox on. I assume it has a power button.
Well, keep in mind,
on the console, it's not
Xbox
just this.
support is going to be handling
Right.
support
Yeah,
for
I know.
Xbox 360.
I know,
Maybe
exactly.
They're not
Like,
breaking
it's not
news.
the most reliable.
They're not
source.
breaking
But
news.
this person was coming to me going like, I can't believe they didn't even put a power button on it. What is with the just.
Wait, the internet jumping to conclusions.
What?
During E3, no less.
I just want to say before I pass this along, I think Greg's the one that pointed this out.
Yeah.
But the
Silencers.
dampening,
Triggers are
the
great.
dampening in the
Yeah.
controllers is really, or in the triggers. Yeah.
I like it.
I feel like you sacrifice a little bit of the tautness of the 360
A little.
shoulder buttons. Like just the initial there's.
It's more clicky than the bumpers were in the other.
I think it's maybe it's more the resistance is more constant now. Like before, there was you felt a little more tension at the top.
The couple of games
And
I
then-
played, I didn't really miss it much, honestly. Like
It's gonna
I
be
felt like it all worked pretty nicely with what I was playing.
So when I was up there for the reveal and we kind of went around and did all the different stations, when I got to the prototype controller port, I actually just sat there for a while just trying to do dragon punches on this thing over and over again. Just going
the thing I
they
like
were
about
looking at me like I was out of my mind. Because it was there.
You're used to that, right?
Yeah. Because ostensibly it was just a demo to mess with the rumble triggers.
Right.
But I was just sitting there going like, yeah, whatever.
Well, the cool thing is that it's wireless and wired, so you don't have to have a play and charge kit and stuff like that. So I mean, you can connect
Yeah,
with
you can just micro USB.
right into the console.
Man, that sounds like something you could just plug into a personal computer and use as a video game controller to me.
Huh.
I agree. It does sound like that.
Guess
That would
we'll
make
have
an awful lot of sense.
I guess we'll have to find out someday.
There aren't any crickets.
Maybe there will be
There aren't any
announcements
crickets in here.
further down the road.
Well, that's cool. Thanks for
just figuring that out.
You know,
That's great.
thank God that Nintendo didn't find a way to renew that patent.
Yeah.
On that D-pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The D-pad. Our long national nightmare is over.
Yeah.
There
Whatever.
are-
Our long national nightmare is over across the board.
Well, that's the thing.
Actually, those
console
controllers-
controllers,
both
both those
controllers are
controllers
great.
are
There
fantastic.
is
Yeah.
a better D-pad on the Xbox. There are better triggers on the PS4. Like, it's 2013. Controllers should just be good.
Yeah.
Except for the part where we're still using Wii
And now,
remotes sometimes.
and now they are.
Yeah, that was a real bummer.
Yeah.
So, I only had one person say, "Could you put on the wrist strap, please?"
Oh man, I had that too. I also had that.
Like, I'm in the wrong meeting.
Just swung your wrist and bashed him in the face.
Nintendo Booth Classic.
Yeah, I played one Wii U game, but I didn't play anything that used the Wiimote, so I was good.
Yeah.
So does anybody else find? And we should probably talk a little bit about the booths, right? Because the show floor is like a big deal. And does anybody else find it a little odd, the whole tethering a 3DS or other devices to women and having them walk around? They're still doing that.
Really?
They've been doing that since they first announced.
I know they used to.
I just find that
given
really wrong.
Given the current climate, you would think they might have a little more sense or be
it's icky.
a little less tone deaf about things.
Ubisoft literally had like the women that were working the booth there literally had a like wristband on that said "Booth Babe" on it.
I heard about that.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's just
At the
Like
same
that was
time,
part of their uniform.
I wish we could move past that.
Okay.
At the same time,
Yeah.
I was walking around with Alexis, who had never been to E3 before, and
Yeah.
we were talking about the show floor and stuff, and it occurred to me, like, there used to be women in straight-up bikinis at E3.
Constant.
Yeah, it was like a boat show in there.
Because, like me and you, all of us have been to double-digit E3s at this point.
yeah.
But, you know, we were coming in the 90s. And it's been so
99
long,
was
I
my
had
first.
forgotten that, like, you're right, it was an
Yeah.
auto show.
I remember
totally.
the Return to Castle Wolfenstein booth babes, where it was like World War II military outfits but bikinis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So, like,
You
you
know,
know, it's by no
because
means
that's
perfect now,
functional.
but, like, some progress has occurred.
Yeah, we've definitely moved forward quite a bit.
But it's still it's just bizarre to me that they would tether the hardware.
Yeah.
to
I mean,
them.
tether
There was a
tether it to
a
table.
cable
Right,
wrapped
a cable
around
that
her.
goes to their waist.
And like, if
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted
it's
to
just like-
run away, I'd have to drag her with me.
feel-
So
yeah.
it's just-
Yeah.
What E3 attendant's going to have the nerve to run away with the
well, fair enough, but
Nintendo
it just
booth
seems
attendant?
it just seems
I feel like
it's very wrong.
Like you could bolt that to anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
know?
you have to bolt it
some
to
guys
something.
if
Yeah.
you wanted to.
a concrete post.
Yeah, you could bolt it to
There you go.
men. There's
Yeah.
no reason.
There you go, Nintendo likening women to concrete posts.
The indie.
Breaking news.
Hey now.
I didn't say
Microsoft says
I
that
didn't
Nintendo.
say
Hey.
The Indiecade booth had Booth Bros. So,
Really?
Good for
yeah,
them.
it's
Oh,
really
good
nice.
for them. That's
Excellent.
great.
Yeah.
Where was that? Because
They were in South Hall, like off in the corner
Yeah, I saw
behind
them.
Konami and
they're
whatnot.
like a
It was packed, actually.
tax institution, aren't
Yeah.
they? Isn't that where they usually?
Not
Like I've heard the name before, but I didn't know they'd.
Indiecade has its own show and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had a number of games there, but yeah, the
Yeah.
booth bros were pretty funny.
that's pretty
It's
good.
just like yoked dudes in like spandex.
Yeah.
So
Between that
See,
and
why do we need even the sexualization? I mean, that's
I
the
think
part
it I think it was Indiecade.
Because
I
it's
don't know,
because it's
being
hot.
Are
ironic.
you aware
Yeah.
of 75% of the people who go to E3?
No, I'm with you
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
I mean, PAX doesn't have it, and it gets a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
PAX doesn't have it, but until like it occasionally kind of does.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, you
like
got
they
you got
go right up to the line,
cosplayers
yeah.
like blurring the line and stuff like that.
Well,
But
if,
it really
you're an
was-
attendee, I feel
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah,
different
totally,
than
yeah.
if you're.
Yeah,
Attendees
exactly.
should
They still
have
like,
to go naked.
The company
Really.
still occasionally.
like let's
sneaks in
take
there
PAX
a
to the
little
next level.
Have you? No.
I'm backing
No.
away from that.
Yeah.
Don't you read Craigslist when PAX comes to town? It sounds like a good time.
bit. I was actually really bummed out by the total
new
lack
friends.
of
So
misconnections at E3 this year.
Australia could be really bad if people do
There aren't
that,
any.
especially with
It's
the
just been
drop
pretty
bears and
bummer.
all the other things that are going to kill us.
Right. Yeah.
So, you guys are both going, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll see you there.
We are going to go to PAX Australia and
Oh,
we have
wow.
a panel.
do something.
Whoa.
Yeah, we have
Have
a
you been
panel.
there
What are you
before?
gonna do? No,
Awesome.
never.
The two of you
It's a long
have
flight.
panel
Yeah.
together?
14 hours.
Hey, everyone, I'm upside down.
Yeah, that's the whole panel. Like just like in Seattle, it's all Sir Mix-a-Lot jokes. In Australia, it's just gonna be like,
Hey, games are really expensive here,
warned.
aren't they?
Yeah.
All right,
Hey,
see
someone
ya.
there.
Someone
Yeah.
going to bring you some anonymous breast milk?
Yeah, probably.
I'll have $100.
Do they even have breast milk in Australia?
Yeah, it'll
It
be
comes
a
out in
spider's
other-
breast milk.
I
or
think,
something.
I think they all don't they all nurse from kangaroos.
Yeah.
Yep.
How did we get there so fast? How did we get there so fast?
Speed of
Try the
sound
Vegemite.
here.
Yeah, it's excellent.
You know, it used to be a prison colony.
Some say it still is. You know, Australia facts. Every podcast we have Australia facts in the middle of the show.
Is that like cat facts?
It is
Can
exactly
I subscribe?
like, it is exactly
Cat
like
facts.
Yeah.
Cat facts,
Welcome
except
to
it's
Cat
more
Facts.
about how realistic and authentic Outback Steakhouse is.
Right.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Outback Steakhouse. Get a bloomin' onion.
Craig Kasavin,
Hey,
how was your E3?
pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was fun.
You doing well?
Yeah,
You see some games
Chilling.
at all?
not a lot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Working
yeah.
a booth will do that.
Yeah.
So-
that's a yeah.
Lead us up to, paint us a word picture here, Greg. up to your appearance on the stage at the Sony press conference.
Well, it all started in 1945. I mean, where do I begin?
The birth of the cotton gin.
Yeah, exactly.
Eli Whitney.
But before that, we have to go back to.
We did the Game of Thrones version, but that
Phineas.
was...
Yeah, no, I mean, so
to America.
Long descriptions of the food.
I flew into E3 on I guess it was Saturday night, and we had a rehearsal Sunday morning where we showed up, and it's like saw the thing for the first time, did a little bit. I only had a couple of sentences. Still an amazing amount of material you can screw up, despite being only 2 sentences to say.
No.
Yeah.
No one did that.
You guys made it through clean.
Yeah, thank you. I screwed up my. I had 2 rehearsals and I freaking flubbed it on my second one because it's like it's our own material that we wanted to like not. We had it, we wrote what we wanted to say, but I didn't want to read off the prompter, and like the prompter was super distracting. I'm like, God damn it! Like I'm not just gonna read that. I'm just gonna say it.
You're a prompter pro, Greg.
Nah, man. Like winging it. Just say what you feel. Yeah, it was really weird seeing a second person perspective press conference, so to speak. It was like
so were you hanging out backstage for
we saw the whole thing. Yeah, it's like Shuhei Yoshida just chilling back there, and he's like, okay, it's my turn to go on and deliver like.
And it was pretty good company being kept with that whole indie presentation.
Yeah, I didn't know. We didn't know anyone else who was going to be there, so I showed up and like Jake Casdell
was pretty strong.
Yeah, Jake Casdell's there, and Jamie from Clay and those guys.
And Lorne Lanning.
Were you surprised to see Lorne Lanning as everyone else?
I felt shame of like like what the hell am I doing like. What am I doing speaking
I
when
think whoever just censored himself on the bomb?
Yeah, I'll have some more of this. But yeah, I was. I think that was the first chance I ever had to meet Lorne, and that was really cool. He's super funny and awesome. But the fact that I was speaking,
waving,
right? And he was just there, kind of waving and stuff. Yeah.
Shit is crazy.
Yeah.
So whatever. But
what a difference like 2 decades can make.
I guess so. Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
he probably said, "I'm not talking."
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wave.
But yeah, no, it was great that he was there, and his game looks cool and everything. There's a lot of good stuff. But yeah, of course, we didn't know how all that was going to go down, and we didn't even want to go to E3 at all, honestly, until relatively recently, when we realized it was a pretty cool opportunity.
I mean, they gave you like good, good real estate on the floor
Dude,
too.
We were across from like Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed. It's like we're a 10-person team.
Yeah, you have like 8 screens over there playing the game.
8 screens, yeah, which is the same as we had at PAX. But at PAX, it's like our own. That was our own show. That was an elaborate show for us. And PAX is more our speed. We show up and it's just like dudes who pay to get into PAX to play some games. It's like those are our fans.
Yeah.
That's always been a great show for us. It's something like E3. It's like it's a show for the this is like the Battle of Olympus up there. This isn't really for smaller games, but it seems like things are changing, and a lot of the smaller games made a really good showing. And I think as someone was saying before.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just like there for better or worse, there are fewer big studios these days than there were a few years ago. I think, unfortunately, I suppose, but hey, there are smaller studios out there.
The indie presence on the PS4 and maybe to a little lesser extent the Xbox. And
and
the Indiecade thing, and then there was the Horizon press conference this morning where Fez 2 was
Fez 2!
I am so excited.
We were just lamenting, like last night, the death of the third day E3
reveal. And then suddenly.
And then the best one possible, Fez 2, totally unexpected.
I can't think of a better one. Yeah.
Now I missed it. Was there a time frame for Fez 2?
No, God, no.
Okay.
No, this was just a reveal.
It was just like a logo reveal and like hey, check it out, we're doing this.
2073.
So.
Little piece of disaster piece music to go with it.
I'm always okay with that.
Yeah.
Give me all the disaster pieces.
I love the logo treatment because
it's really good.
They're still biting an 80s style, but a different 80s style.
Yeah.
It's
like the neon.
Now it's like sort of Tron looking instead of like the pixel art.
It was cool.
I just wonder if that's indicative of all of what the game will look
if
like.
that's what the game.
Well, you
I'd
saw
be okay with that. I would be totally okay with
the
that.
little strand of color there, like, that was clearly like you could tell
There's a
like
reference,
rotation was
yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
I'm surprised constructed that into the source code and compiled the game already. You know, like
Some cute.
put the internet to
QR
work
code
on
in
it.
it.
I
Yeah.
love that the artwork of where we came from in terms of video games, the style of 8-bit, the style of the 80s, the style of arcade games from that time period are all being retrofitted back into these new modern experiences like Minecraft, like Monaco, like I can name a dozen different games, and kids are loving it, and it's like it's great because you'd think like as adults we look at it and like, oh, that looks terrible compared to Halo. But no, it's all about the gameplay and it's all about the design.
And it's just it's a pure aesthetic now. You know,
Yes.
it's not a
Yes.
graphical limitation. It's in
Yeah.
you know that's actually the part that occasionally
That's the
bothers
point.
me.
Yeah.
Is when they say like we made a faithful 16-bit game, and I go look at it and go, no, you have too many colors here.
Yeah,
More sprite flicker.
Yes, you could only this many sprites on
Right,
a screen
yeah.
at one time. Didn't you people have a Sega Genesis?
Yes.
What is
you
going
even
on
know
here?
where you're coming
Blast
from.
processing. Come on.
What is this like CD quality audio coming out of this thing?
That's why I raised my kid, and he's played 2600. He's played it because they need to know.
Yeah. Know your classics.
I have
Yes.
saved every old console I've ever owned, and most of them still work, and I will save them for the rest of my damn life. Those things are not going anywhere.
Well, let me tell you something. If the video game museum ever needs a backup of anything, that man.
yes.
That's
respectable.
I think there's one person at this table whose collection wildly outshines mine. Right there.
Probably true.
Yeah.
It's a museum quality
you want to talk about
collection.
museum
It is
quality.
museum quality. It's a high stack.
Yeah.
So you're saying when you have a
Teetering.
kid, you should pick a theoretical year that they're being born in, say 1980, and introduce them
And
to
introduce
the
and start them
games of
there.
the era, and then
And
as,
only let them play
as they age,
progression.
6 years after their birth, you give them the NES.
Right.
Wow.
You don't get to the 32-bit era until they're
That's
old enough
that's
to drive.
some real
Here's
indoctrination.
Sonic.
That's some
That's like-
religion level.
Yeah, that's like at some
indoctrination.
point, or you just like, why don't you just cut your losses and teach them Klingon? You know, something
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's fluent in Elvish
Might as well
and
join
only plays
Scientology
16-bit
at that
games.
point.
And
Right.
Elvish across two different mythologies.
So Greg, when you got when they asked you and Amir to go up on stage at the Sony press conference, did you obviously you said you didn't know who else was going to be as part of that, but did you have any sense that you guys were going to be kind of repping the indie crowd like that? Did they give you any idea of the?
We had that impression. I mean, they were they're really interested in us and the game we were working on. Yeah, I mean, as evidenced by our presence at the show and at the conference, they I think put a tremendous amount of faith in us, which we really appreciate. So yeah, we're kind of like.
Well, I mean,
Right.
I think it's clear you guys, nailed it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, but that's hindsight is 2020. But
Fair enough.
it's.
And even though it was, all that
certain
stuff was
amount
the
of-
same stuff that was shown at PAX
Yeah.
East, like we saw that stuff
Yeah.
several months ago. Still,
It's
like
a really
that,
tight demo.
That presentation at the press conference still reminded me of what it was that impressed me so much.
Yeah, right
of
on.
the PAX East
Thank
demo,
you.
So.
Plus, it's a larger exposure.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, absolutely. For us, it's like it's a way large. I mean, our
I mean, there's PlayStation banners, or there were PlayStation
Yeah,
banners
no,
all over
our-
the convention center with Transistor.
yeah, our reveal. Like I said, I mean, we weren't planning to go to E3 originally, and like being a small team, it's like the shows can be a big can really sidetrack development, honestly. So it's like we had something that we put out there, and like even putting together a trailer is a big deal for us. Like we weren't about to just make a whole new demo and a whole new trailer. It's like we only have so much material that we want to put out there before the game is out. But
I think you can do that well, though. It's like if you have, it's like I went to see the Witness today. Jonathan Blow came down and like had a full theater presentation in the back of Sony, and it's like he didn't have an E3 slice. He just had whatever development build they had on Tuesday, and he was just showing through the entire thing, like just taking you all over the place, just saying like, yeah, this is not working right. This is still fucked up, but here we're going to show you this, and this is how this works. And it's, I mean, it was a really academic demo, but it was also like really refreshing to just kind of see him saying, this is still fucked up, but whatever. Here's why this works. And, yeah.
No, it's awesome that kind of like that kind of honesty and transparency
Yeah.
with the smaller developers, it's really great instead of like the
Yeah.
don't, oh my God,
Well, you could spend
He's,
8
he's not
weeks-
precious about his
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
at all.
No.
No,
Like
not
he
at all.
seems completely willing to like be like, this isn't up to
He's
my
like-
standard. I don't like the way this looks or works. I will, tear this down and rebuild it completely if it needs to happen that way.
Well-
at least that's the impression that I get from.
I'm sure we've all gotten to the point by now. It's like with the big demos when people are walking through, you can see where the landmines are they're avoiding. It's like, oh, he's not looking over there. He's not going. He's being very careful.
Seems to be
Okay, that
running
must
past
not
this
work.
section very quickly.
I was playing Dying Light and had, the guys like, you need to get up on the overpass here. And I saw like a bus that you could get up on to get over there. So I started running that.
Oh, no.
direction. And I did. I was like, no, you're going too far. You're going too far.
Going too
Yeah,
far.
Something amazing happened in my Dead Rising 3 demo because the guy was close to the end of the mission he was trying to do, and he went through a door and the screen flashed to white, and then he was just in a completely different part of the city, and it had stripped all of his
Shortcut.
items and weapons,
Yep.
and like reset all the triggers for the mission. But they didn't have time to start the demo over, so he was just like flailing and twisting in the wind for the rest of the demo, running around trying to find stuff to do. It was really funny.
My demo of the Division, they wanted to show a bunch of the smart glass integration stuff, and I think they said ours was the first demo that it did not work in, and just
How-
full
how was-
stop. Like it
how
was
was
able
that
to log
otherwise?
in. They tried multiple tablets. Like it was.
This is
an
the E3
interesting-
of shit fucking
Yeah, it was an
up,
interesting
basically.
E3. Like how long is
It's
it?
a hardware year.
How long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
You know it's real.
Like how long has it been since you saw a game lock up at a press conference?
Yeah,
You know?
I want to hear about that because I wanted to get into the Division. I didn't have time. So
Yeah.
how
That
was
looks
it?
awesome at their.
So I mean, all they showed, or all I got to see, was the same demo that they showed at the Ubisoft press conference. So this ran through that segment again, and then they're like, okay, now we're going to show more of this tablet stuff. So they had a video out from a tablet up to a big screen. So we're going to show like this is what it looks like from the drone perspective. That there's that little moment in the demo that they gave. So that was going to be the crux of it, but unfortunately, their attempts to make it go just it wasn't working. And they
would
didn't
not
have,
go.
The
they're
developer
running
would not
like
go.
tight schedules on those theater demos, so they didn't have time to try and further troubleshoot in the moment. So had to take a walk, unfortunately.
The developer is massive, right? It's
Yeah.
the guys who did
Yeah.
World in Conflict.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's who
awesome.
that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that game was. That game
I'm trying to
was
think of who that
really-
developer was.
yeah.
Wow.
it is, and that game just again
awesome.
seeing it again. Same piece of content, but just kind of looking at it
Up
a
close.
second time, a little bit closer for
Yeah.
sure, a little more detail than just the stream that I was watching for the Ubisoft press conference. Gosh, it's just density of the environments, of the stuff that's going on, and they talked a little more about some of these like environmental lighting systems that they have. They talked a little bit more tech stuff that I don't entirely comprehend, but it still looked really sharp. So.
They're just kind of visually showing off or whatever, but there's this little detail in their demo. The guy's behind cover, behind a car. It's like a wrecked out car, and he's like sliding over, and the door's open. He just like taps it closed, and it's like, damn, that is. It's just those. It's funny how as games get higher and higher fidelity, it's those little small details that like really stand out.
Yeah.
And they spend so much time just. trying to get
Cowboy
those.
from Naughty Dog was talking about how they have things where a bullet hole will be created, and then if another bullet hole comes near that, there will be that joined dual bullet hole effect left behind by that. Just the kind of things that they're modeling and showing now. And then they played a little coy about how this multiple squad stuff was going to work, because the idea was, okay, they finished this mission, they went to this room, got all this loot, and it was like, okay, before they get to keep the loot, they have to go and do an extraction, got to go shoot a flare into the air, and then that's when it's like, okay, you've got 2 minutes, you got to hold this spot down before you get extracted, and then that would alert if there's other groups in the area that they can then
come get your loot.
come and get your shit.
Which is awesome.
E3 2013,
okay.
shit
Yeah.
fucking up and extraction.
And then
And dropships.
And drop
wait,
ships.
and then at one point the camera pulls up and you
To reveal.
see
Yeah.
what multiple squads, and it pulls out further.
That's, to be fair, that's just Ubisoft. That's just
But
every
it's
Ubisoft.
every Ubisoft game.
Yeah, it's
Speed.
every
Need for
Ubisoft
Speed,
game.
yeah.
Just,
So
just
yeah.
Dance.
Yeah.
There's a million people dancing.
Rabbids TV show.
Didn't Destiny do something like that?
You actually brought something up there. This is the year of way too many driving games.
There are a lot of driving.
Yeah.
It's a
games.
hardware year. Everyone's got to have
How
their.
are we
Right,
going to
yeah.
play all these? There's
Cars,
no possible way.
Cars are pretty easy to make look
I mean,
good,
to be
right?
fair, they're not. There are only a couple of them you actually need to be playing. Granted, Forza's one of them, so you're
it's
fine.
like it's
but
Forza and Need for Speed. Like
Yeah,
hearing what
totally.
you had to say about the crew, like
it's not ready. That game's handling is way too squirrely the way it is. Like, I had a hell of a time even controlling a fucking board. You know, it wasn't where it needed to be. And what I've seen of Drive Club so far did not overly bowl me over either. So I would say
I feel like Drive Club has not evoked a feeling from me
I think
either
Drive
way.
Club looks really good. It's just it's such a weird thing for Sony to be doing.
Well, with having a huge
like
GT6,
they are already in the car simulation business. It almost seems like they were like, well, look, these guys take 9,000 years to make a game. Why don't we just like get another team and get them to do a driving game for launch? Because these guys are working on a fucking PS3. I don't even know.
Well, I think they wanted something with a slightly different sensibility than what GT is, because GT is a game I will never get into. It makes no sense to me, and I don't enjoy
the GT aesthetic. Yeah, I mean, some people were way into that stuff.
I still remember GT3 was like that was the reason I bought a PS2.
Yep.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was it.
GT3 was the point where I started kind of getting into simulation racing games. It was because of the wheel.
Yeah.
The wheel was a lot of fun to use. And then I kind of backed out of it until I guess it was probably Forza 2 or 3. Which one was the first one on 360?
2. Oh, wait, I thought 2 was... No, 2 was the first one.
I think it was 2.
The kudos.
Yeah, there was only one Forza on Xbox first, I think.
Because I think the original Forza was
Xbox first.
I can't call it Xbox.
There you go. That's the new official
because
name.
of you motherfuckers.
All right,
Hey, not me.
what's the in-house reference then to the original Xbox?
The original Xbox.
That's,
Okay.
So many syllables.
It really is.
It's going to drive me nuts. Someone's going to start calling it the OG Xbox, and I'm just going to lose my shit.
Yeah,
not at this table.
That's the sort of thing that ends meetings,
talks.
man.
What is the official stance on Xbone? How are they taking that internally?
Really? What is the official stance?
It's really caught on.
Yeah, I want to know what people
it
think. It
has.
has
Really
caught
caught
on.
on.
It absolutely has.
Yeah, it is overwhelmingly.
I'm shocked
It's
how
weird that like some
abbreviation
people
that's
are
being
used
used.
when they're being like negative about the console. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
don't think there's any negative. It's just like
I call it Xbone because it's catchy. I like it.
I guess I've seen more of the negative than the not, which makes me think of $M$ for Microsoft.
Yeah,
Sure,
I
yeah.
immediately go to $M
enough.
when I see it. It's just like that's such a lazy way to reference something.
I just like it because it's a short, catchy,
But when
abbreviation.
if
like
it
I've
meant
been
my
saying,
dog could play with it, cool.
Yeah,
but
when things go bad, then all of our headlines are written because it's just X-boned. You know, like, that's just our work's done.
I'm sure we all appreciate your feedback to the marketing team.
What we're saying is that it's already happened. They just got to own it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're not going to stop it.
That's
You're not
my
gonna-
question. Are
you're
you
not gonna
guys
turn a
willing to
program
own
against it.
Xbone? Are you willing to just take it and own
Own the bone.
us guys, because I work in marketing. Yeah,
When you're sitting in the command center, when you're sitting in the NASA of Xbox,
I thought the name was going to be Xbox. I found out the name the same time everybody else did. I went, okay. What I learned
liked
back
that.
in 2005 when they announced Xbox 360, I was like, that's a horrible name. And then I found out I am really bad at that shit. I should never name anything.
It was when we tended to discover these things when I was there. It was like you would say to yourself, "Oh my God, Kinect! What a terrible name." 26 million units later.
Yeah.
But
But
you
also-
realize you're, as a hardcore gamer, you're actually not really good at picking out brands.
Also,
Fair enough.
It's amazing that by now names like Dreamcast and Wii haven't taught us that we don't care about names as much as we think we do. You know?
Right?
Like a month, so we spend hours every week talking about video games into a microphone, right? Like a year from now, when it's been about a year since we thought about the name of these consoles, like what are we going to be saying?
We're not even going to be thinking
Not
about
even
it.
thinking about the
Nobody
name.
will
It won't even be a factor.
XBO. No, I'm
Just call
saying
it
'cause
Xbox, you know?
Yeah, or
I think
Xbox,
you'll just call it
Just like-
Xbox.
just like you say PS4 without thinking about it.
I think about it. I mean, I think about this stuff from a database perspective of like having this wiki to maintain and stuff. So it was very much like, okay, if it's over 4 characters, it's no longer an abbreviation. That's too fucking long. Who would do that? X1, the number 1, is taken by the Sharp X1.
Oh, of course.
So that's already
Because so many more people have that than will.
It was already
Hey,
there.
It's already there. It's already
in the
there.
system.
Does your system not have a rename
It doesn't have
function?
any
It
type
does,
of
but that's-
rename.
okay.
It doesn't have any or deprecation.
What are we going to tell?
They came
Sharp
first.
What are we going to tell the millions of Sharp X1 aficionados?
Yeah.
We changed
That's
that.
a good
Since we
point.
have 4 characters, I just went X0 and or XONE.
That works.
Yeah.
The zone.
Zone. Yeah.
think-
Well, we do have a deal with Pizza Hut, so
Perfect. When you get into the Pizzone this November,
Oh, you've gone into the pizza.gg business.
I mean, there are people that hated
pizza.
God damn it, Brad.
PlayStation as a name, and I feel like that is now just
that's the thing.
completely iconic. You hear PlayStation, it's like that is video games. That is as much video games as Nintendo.
When they first rolled it out, it sounded childish.
Most people don't remember that Xbox was ridiculed. The name Xbox was like it's meaningless. It's a direct Xbox. No one's going to know what that means.
It did deservedly so. On a certain level, Xbox is sort of, it was the code name that just kept rolling.
Right. Yeah. But that happens sometimes, say, Macintosh.
Sure.
That was a code name, and it just rolled.
Yeah. Look, even if something has a dumb name, it doesn't matter. It's just, okay, so we make a bunch of dumb jokes about it, and that's fine. In the end, the naming doesn't really matter.
No,
it doesn't matter.
It's what matters.
Meaning later.
What are the experiences I'm going to have with it? What games am I going to play? That's all anyone will
I
care
was
about.
surprised that Sony went with PlayStation 4. I thought they might take the opportunity to go with a different brand.
Yeah.
It makes sense to go with PlayStation 4, don't get me wrong, but I thought this might be their moment to say, PlayStation something else.
Well, I was ready for Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah,
I was totally ready for,
the reboot thing.
The numbers.
Strip the numbers, exactly.
That's what I thought we were doing. That's what I had in the pool.
I think Apple has done a great job with the iPad.
Yeah, the amazing thing is people are like, oh, you know all this stuff, and it's like, no, I didn't know half of what was going to be in the press conference until I was sitting there watching the press conference.
That's how they keep secrets, right?
Yeah,
because everything leaks these days. It's amazing that anything is still secret. They have to keep it to a few individuals.
It was a conversation I had with, I think it was the creative director of Watch Dogs. So I talked to him a little bit about the Division. And just sort of, talking a little bit about just some tonal similarities and how do you feel about that. And he said, we, learned about that game existing at rehearsals for the press conference. Yeah. And I said, well, that seems crazy. He says, hey, you want to know how we kept Watch Dogs a secret? We didn't fucking tell anyone. Yeah. We kept that a secret until it was time to show it at the show. And then it was this big surprise, and it kind of, knocked everyone's socks off. So, you just don't tell anyone, and then no one finds out. Well, it's crazy. I know.
It's the old joke where you nudge someone and you say, hey, can you keep a secret? And they say, yeah. You say, so can I.
Alex, let's talk a little bit about your day here, end of the show.
Oh, my day-to-day. I mostly...
You went to that Witness...
Yeah, I went to that Witness demo, and that was about a half an hour of Jonathan Blow basically just taking us on a whole tour of the island and, showing us how the puzzle mechanics work. And, again, it was a very academic-style demo. He was very into talking about his design philosophies, about the sort of, wordless communication thing that he's trying to do with that game.
Break it down for me. What is that game? Is it a third-person puzzle game? Do I pick up objects?
Third-person. No, find keys? There's no inventory. There is no object handling. None of that stuff. All the puzzles are in the form of these sort of pads that you find throughout.
Is it really all of them, or
it is all of them? But the way you work with them is very different from area to area.
And also, you are interpreting a lot of the environment around where these panels are placed. That's where you're learning a lot of what is happening in the environment is then, or just what the geometry of the environment is around there. Will then dictate and kind of teach you how it is that you need to complete these little simple path-based puzzles.
But to be a little reductive, is there anything besides solving those puzzles and walking to the next puzzle?
No, absolutely. The whole, it seems like the whole island is kind of evolving.
It's sort of is there more to Braid than rewinding time?
Well, that's why it's reductive.
No, in that reductive sense, it is a lot of walking from puzzle to puzzle and doing the puzzles. It's the way you learn how to do the puzzles and the sort of divining you have to do based on the environment. So there are a couple of examples I can show.
Yes, show me.
Say.
Paint a word picture.
Yes, say me.
One of them was
draw in the air.
Basically just a panel that was just a bunch of tree branches. And it was, there's nothing around to tell you what that means other than to say, oh, there's a bunch of trees around. And you're supposed to draw, a path to one of the branches, and the only way you can sort of divine what that is by realizing, oh, there's an apple attached to this one, and that seems to be the one. Then there's another one where you have to figure out the angle of the tree to figure out where the apple even traces to. Then later,
and it seemed like some of the early stuff you might be able to just kind of muscle your way through some of the simple pathing stuff. But definitely, at least in my experience playing this long time ago, at some point you will reach a puzzle where it's no, I need to. The logic that I'm applying to this is not accurate. I need to get more information from the environment to know what it is that I actually need to do.
And not all the puzzles necessarily have to be solved to progress. There's one environment he showed which was this castle that had two sides. One was just a bunch of hedge mazes, and one was a bunch of platforms you could walk around on and have to solve the puzzles that way. you can beat that area by doing either one.
Right.
You don't have to, like, if one is driving you crazy, you can go do the other one and see if that works out.
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot of, like, environmental puzzles based around kind of getting you to this one central location eventually at the end, which he didn't show any of for obvious reasons. But
it's there, and it turns out you're the witness.
I mean, yeah, maybe, I don't know. But that's, so it's all just about, sort of divining from the environment you're in and just sort of like learning these puzzles over time, like how to work with them.
Were there still audio logs? Did he show any of that?
Yes,
stuff?
there are. He didn't show any of it.
Okay.
He didn't want to show any of it. But he said basically the only way you get the backstory stuff is by finding these audio logs, which are hidden throughout the game. But like you could play the whole thing never listening to a single one.
Yeah, I listened to a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Again in this early version, and I have fucking no idea what's going on in that game, man.
I'm curious, not just in The Witness, but how you guys feel about that, because my only
depends on the
complaint
game.
about BioShock Infinite, I love the game, but I didn't understand where these powers are coming from, and it turns out that that's in an audio log that I never found.
They put too much stuff in those audio logs, and the reason
it's an enormous amount of information.
Yeah, and
there's like 72 of them.
There's the difference between sort of like trying to kind of give you a little background information and kind of fleshing out the story a little bit, like which is what I think The Witness is trying to do by not giving, like he said, there's like maybe 10 or 12 of those throughout the game, and like you don't have
Not
to.
like
But I
the
can
Halo
successfully
terminals.
play the game and understand it and know kind of what's going on.
Yes,
without
exactly.
them.
But in the context of something like Infinite, yes, like they basically use that as a way to get rid of exposition, and they did it too much because there's so much backstory to those characters you just don't get unless you go hunting for those constantly.
I feel like audio logs are just becoming kind of an archaic device,
They are.
But here's the
It's
thing
a trope.
is that the audio logs that I was hearing in The Witness, they were not like, here's a person explaining who they are and what they're doing. It isn't that device. It is much more tone and kind of coloring. You're like, this is weird. Someone's talking about loss and in this kind of abstract way. I don't really know like how that applies to where I am. Because you're also the only one on the island.
Also, I mean, my limited impression of that game is that it is very abstract and surreal, right? But like in Infinite, in particular, like if you take yourself out of the experience and imagine a person like recording their dying words into this thing and then placing it where you would find it,
Yeah, it's a little much.
It's become the trope, right? Like the data pads in Doom 3, or all these things where just the information you need just happens to be the last thing
really
that person ever.
My first real experience with those was System Shock 2, and it made sense because like here is like this regimented military environment, whereas of course in the course of their duties, people record themselves talking about what they're doing.
Yeah, it goes back even farther. It's like Ultima Underworld. I mean, they weren't audio, but I love the.
I forgot about that. That's excellent. Yes.
I love the like diary structure of like day 1, this place is sweet. Day 30, I'm a little hungry.
Right.
Day 78.
And then a scrawl at the end of the page.
Yeah, that's like the story arc of every diary, in every video
They do
game.
feel like they've become a little bit of a kind of a storytelling crutch. Like I thought you guys found a great alternative in Bastion for relaying that information. You could do it a lot more in line with the experience rather than forcing.
Yeah, I mean,
people to hunt down
hey,
collectibles.
it's hard. I mean, the convention exists with good reason. It like works really well when done properly.
And gamers are forgiving of it. We know it's a trope. We know that it takes you out of the moment when you think about the logic of it.
But it's a way that you can play, keep moving, catch a little extra color, a little extra, environmental, just, world building, and without full stop, all right, I'm now watching a cutscene, I'm now talking to a character.
Right. But at the same time, logic-wise, it's like, my favorite example is the Oblivion / Fallout / Skyrim scenario of no one's been here in 1,000 years, and you walk in the door and there's a bag of fresh apples. Right, or lit torches.
They're magic apples.
They're very.
Come on.
Because
we're
video
very forgiving.
games.
Because video games. Yes. We're very forgiving.
But in the context of The Witness, he wouldn't show any of that stuff. He said that a lot of the stuff that
I imagine he probably scrapped every single bit of
none of that voice acting is going to be in there. He said that none of that stuff's final.
I completely. I mean, that game didn't have graphics when I saw it, so
it does look really nice now. Like there's a lot of very colorful visuals in it.
No, I mean it was first person.
Yeah.
So it was ZZT.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I saw that. I actually saw a lot of Xbox One stuff today, so it's perfect that you're here for that. I played Forza, and I saw the Forza demo, which I really liked a lot.
What'd you think of the drive avatars?
Yeah.
So I was confused.
It's a really dumb word.
It's a really dumb word, but conceptually and actually seeing it in practice, like, you know, because I know the way the AI in Forza has always been is a little rigid, you know, like it always tends to stick to the driving lines, like it doesn't have a lot of, you know, but I'm watching this guy play, and the cars are kind of moving around. They're kind of doing different stuff. Right. They're taking turns weird. They're doing shit that you don't normally see the AI in those games do. And that was very refreshing to me in a way that I was very hopeful for.
Yeah, we ran into Brian Eckberg, and I asked him my turn one question of, does this just mean every single Drivatar is just going to crash into each other at the first turn?
Right. And I mean, maybe, but...
yeah, well, he said specifically, like, it's not necessarily recording that it's the first turn, it's recording what type of turn it is, and whether you take that turn properly.
Exactly,
or not.
They're mapping out your input in a way, and that can be different every time you do it.
Right, and when you do another lap on that track, you know the cars aren't going to be packed together.
Yeah.
You know, you may take that turn properly, and you know, I think theoretically it could all average out.
Yeah. What it reminded me of is one of the reasons I love Trials so much is the async gameplay of, hey, I'm trying to beat your score, and here it's, okay, I'm on in the middle of the night because I can't sleep and none of my friends are awake, but I can still kind of race them.
Yeah.
And they're still getting points because I'm racing against
the reward
them.
system for that stuff is what makes it really cool.
How do you guys, did we get any clarity on their use of talking about the cloud?
I specifically asked about it, and they were very forthcoming about it. They were like, okay, so basically, you know, all your driver data is being fed to the cloud, and, you know, whenever you're online, and you're downloading that data back of, you know, all your friends and all the AIs you're downloading. If you're offline, that stuff stays on your system. Like, you have that locally. You can play with that.
Downloading the profiles.
Yeah, it's just that
it
will only update when you're online. You'll get new information, updated, you know, Drivatars. Like later
it's not like remotely they're processing all that AI. They're just giving a profile back.
They're building the data off in the cloud, and they're bringing it to you.
So does that? I mean, you may know some things about this sort of stuff. Does it work that differently from, like, what is it, the title managed storage that the games get?
So
already on the 360?
Yes.
In cases like that.
It does, because there's been a lot of talk about the cloud and what it does for
what
Xbox
does it all
One.
mean? Yeah.
Basically what it means is every game on Xbox One has these cloud resources that it can use, and they're just there. Right. So whether it's for Forza, we want to upload this data about your driving and crunch it and turn it into a Drivatar, or for Titanfall dedicated servers, or whatever, that's just there. Just like every game on Xbox 360 can use title managed storage, where it can store, like, playlists or you know, stats, or put in the message of the day or whatever. This is another thing that's there for every game. Use it how you want to use it.
I think the difference, correct me if I'm wrong, is on the 360 you're talking about, like, you could put like a text file up there or a CSV that describes like balance changes that you're just pulling that down and applying it locally, whereas like there are compute cycles in the cloud now that you can crunch actual numbers in,
and you can use them for the game can be using it like while you're playing, like a Titanfall dedicated server, or the game can be using it like Forza, where it's kind of, while you're not playing, it's crunching and improving your Drivatar to make it better reflect the last day of your driving.
There's this pace bin going around right now from a supposed Microsoft engineer who knows the accuracy of it, but like the description they use is anything
pace bin. Oh, that's very accurate.
But I'd just like to say,
either way,
not me.
Either way, the thing they talk about is like, this is good for stuff that doesn't need to be accurate on a per frame basis. You know, like every time the game updates to the screen, that needs to be perfectly accurate. You know, like anything where the data could be a few milliseconds behind what's happening.
I'd almost put it another way. I'd almost say that people confuse the cloud with I'm offloading that frame storage or that frame processing or something of that real time capability. And the reality is it's more like enabling a lot of scenarios that couldn't exist kind of without that ability in the cloud. And so there's a bit of a lack of clarity around it and a bit of confusion. And I think that there's going to be more clarity about it.
I mean, some of it does just sound like, you know, online storage.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. And some of it is, in a way, if you want to look at it that way. Yeah. That's the trouble, is that people are maybe kind of getting confused about this phrase, the cloud.
I think people just get hung up on it.
Yeah.
It sounds horrible. It sounds fake.
It
sounds
broad.
I mean, it always has. That's not even a Microsoft thing. It's this broad term that everyone just uses. And you're like, what is that? Are you just saying I can upload files to the internet? Because I know what that means.
Right.
Does that mean Google Docs? Like, what is that?
Yeah, but the reality is it's enabling scenarios like Drivatars. It's enabling dedicated servers and things like Titanfall. It's like there's a broad swath of things that it enables, and everyone's lumping the cloud into, it means that there's some magical thing up there.
Well, yeah, I think it becomes strange when you start hearing about like, we can offload physics to the cloud. And you're like, what?
So I guess the easiest way to explain it is like when we launched Live in 2002, we said, hey, game developers, we already built matchmaking, we already built leaderboards, we already built all these things.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. And we have things like storage where we've given you the ability to upload and download files to all your users. Use it however you want. And this is another case of we're saying there are computing resources spread across the internet. Use them however makes sense for your game. Whether that's building a Drivatar or a dedicated server or some crazy-ass thing you dreamed up that we never thought of.
So that's just one of those, it comes with development on Xbox One alongside these other just built-in things from Xbox Live.
Right,
So
it's just there.
Is that defined for the developer as like a certain amount of storage per user, or like clock cycles? Like what are the actual resources that are being defined and given to the developer?
I'm pretty sure I can't answer that.
Very good.
There's
On
lots
that
of them.
So, we're going to take a quick recess here. We're going to say goodbye to Estepto and Greg. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging with us.
Thanks for having us.
We've got a bunch of other people in the wings waiting about.
I don't know.
There's rabble rousing over there.
Yeah, all sorts. I don't even know who all it is,
rabble.
but we'll bring some of it in here, mix it up, and keep the show going. So stick around. We'll be back shortly with more of Giant Bomb's E3 2013 Day 3 After Hours show.
Until retirement.
All right, we are back here. Second segment, last day of E3 2013. We've got some fresh panelists. Jeff Gerstmann back again.
The freshest panelist.
Brad Shoemaker back again.
I'm not so fresh.
Patrick, well, you're drinking Miller Lite, so how fresh can you?
And also, it's kind of warm in here.
It's a little warm.
Yeah.
It's no Witcher 3 demo, but it's pretty warm. That thing was like
that a hot room?
90 fucking degrees.
You said that was also when you started drinking today.
It's because that game is so hot.
They insisted that we have beer when we saw The Witcher.
That's great.
Yeah.
Was the beer cold?
I respect that.
It's quite cold.
Well, then what the fuck?
And very Polish.
What were you going to say?
Was it Shivets or?
It started with an E.
Oh,
It's
okay,
like E-Z-W.
As long as it wasn't like
exhausted by
Miller.
All right, well, everyone else, please introduce yourselves around the table here.
My name's Seth Killian. I work at Sony Santa Monica.
I'm Nathan Vella. I'm the co-founder and president at Cappy.
Hello, I'm Richard Hogg. I'm making a video game called Ho Hokum.
Fantastic. I heard a lot of good things about the game at the show this year. Yeah, absolutely.
I played
Oh,
it.
thank you, mate. Did you enjoy it?
Found it very surreal. I think I described it to you as getting a massage. Like, that sounds like a great video game. It felt like my shoulders were loosening, like the knots were working out.
And that's the best experience one could have on the E3 show floor also.
Did it feel like genuine human touch?
Well, I don't know what that's like, but you know, I've heard things, and it was a lot like that.
Just tapped from real world experience right there. Yep. You tell it's legit.
Yep.
I mean, how would you describe it? Like when you have to give the sort of like elevator pitch, like how do you describe the game?
Exactly what he just said.
You should just steal that.
We used to have an elevator pitch, which was Nokia Snake meets Schindler's List.
And we're like, bye, we're sold.
Consider yourself funded. Here's
some money.
How many zeros? How many? Oh, just tell me when to stop.
These things.
Money hats.
So Seth, what have you been up to at the show this year?
We've been excited about Ho Hokum.
Also working on the Order 1886 with our friends at Ready at Dawn Studios.
What do you exactly do now? Like, everyone knows you as the fighting game guy, but you've transitioned to like a pretty different role now.
I'm pretty excited about fighting games because you get to see a lot about a person, but also a lot of the smaller indie games. I'm taking a personal moment here. You see a lot of people in those games, and I think Sony Santa Monica is totally kicking ass on like that side of things in games, and so I was excited to come and be a part of that. And so I'm the lead designer at Sony Santa Monica, and we get to work with awesome guys like Dick. Even when he's not drunk, he's still awesome.
He's not a dick.
And they make games that confuse us. So yeah, we were lamenting with Nathan earlier today about like, I don't think we have enough guaranteed failures. Like we need to be putting more money into games that have no chance of commercial success.
I think you're doing all right.
That's the Sony way.
Yes.
You gotta balance that P&L.
It's like I was like, all these games look pretty solid. Like this is a bad look. Like we need to really step it up and like bet on some obvious
So are you
losers.
saying that's where Dick comes in?
Yes, Dick is here to help us with our obvious loser
they
department.
knew
No, I
They said Schindler's List. We're in.
like no commercial sales. Yeah.
Yeah, because Schindler's List bombed.
Well,
What is that movie?
It's just a black and white thing.
I don't know.
Who'd
It's
watch that?
confusing. Artsy.
Has sound too. I don't know.
We like the
That doesn't make
artsy.
any sense.
Can you tell us what the Order is?
The Order.
Yeah. Are you talking about that yet?
I think we have no official talking points about the Order. What is there to know? We got carriages.
Okay.
We have electricity.
I used to live near where your trailer's set.
Whitechapel?
Yeah, I used to live in Whitechapel.
Did you really? Is it a slum still?
Are you making that up? I used to live.
What kind of monsters are there?
It's a slum in the game. Yeah. Did you run into any sort of opponents?
My bicycle got stolen once. Actually.
There you go.
Was it brushed metal?
There was a lot of
Our
So
enemies.
is the Order a retelling of his bicycle getting stolen? Is that
the bicycle thief of video games?
Of the bike getting stolen.
Seeing a lot of personal stories in
Bellini
today's
films,
video
yeah.
games, and
It's gonna be black and white.
all right.
Seen Schindler's
It was gonna be called
List.
the bicycle
I've
thief,
heard
but
about
then-
it.
It'll be DLC.
Bicycle Thief. That's two already.
Yeah,
Bike
I was
armor.
like, I just
There's
protect
a lot of bike passages, extended bike riding. Kids love it these days.
I mean, I love
worked
that
for Bully.
I love
Yeah.
that trailer, but it's hard to get a sense from that of like how representative those visuals are of a game.
I will say this. So the trailer is meant to be partially baffling. Hopefully people were semi-baffled. But that's all real. That's definitely in-engine stuff. The game, I think by the time those guys get it out, their tech pipeline is unbelievable. It's going to look better than the trailer
Those
looks today.
character models and just like the facial stuff and
everyone sees it.
animations.
I mean, you see the little prequel, like where it's like this is all rendered in engine. Everyone's like, I'll believe it when I see it. It's real.
Yeah.
So
They're one of
believes it.
They're one of the most talented studios in the world.
I mean,
for
what
sure.
what Ready at Dawn had wrung out of the PSP for a long time
Insanity.
was goddamn incredible.
Insanity.
So to see them kind of graduating up here to full-blown console games, it's
They're
exciting.
fantastic guys, and I think they're going to blow people away with some of the things they're able to pull off in there.
And
So
more original IP.
it's where hope goes to die. So Sony is fully behind it. Yeah.
Don't worry. Like by the time that thing ships, Kratos
New
will be
IP.
the star. I wouldn't worry about it.
This is great. This is so much different from when we were talking to the Microsoft guys. They weren't just going, "We're fucked."
Like, things are great. We're super optimistic.
Sports codes.
So what does your E3 actually consist of, man?
This has been a really interesting E3 for me. So this is almost my 1-year anniversary at Sony Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And this is the first E3 where I was not running my mouth nonstop at people that only sort of wanted to hear what I had to say. So I got to meet.
So they didn't want to hear it at all.
Yeah, that was the difference. These people were totally
shut that asshole up this next
totally
time?
uninterested. So I got to do a lot of rad stuff and have meetings with interesting developers that had exciting ideas that will surely fail, which we're excited about. And just get to tap some industry friends and see some awesome games. So I had to say, played Titanfall. It's pretty rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. So cheers to those guys and Abby and
It was so weird, you know, because I worked with her over at G4 and
she's the best.
She's the best, and like when I worked with her, like she was a fiend about those games. Like it is no big shock that not only did she go over there and like kick ass at being like a community manager, but that she's integrated herself into the team the way she has. Like as soon as I heard that she was going to Respawn, I was like, you literally picked like in an encyclopedia like the person you would want for that job. Absolutely. And she has done an amazing job.
They nailed it. It was a ton of fun. So, but I got to see.
And it kind of looks like Tribes a little bit, and I'm.
You know what? Yeah, you have some nerdy Tribe story.
That's true,
dude. I love me some Tribes.
Well, when you're in the Titan, it doesn't jump; it boosts. So you get that. You can kind of dodge, and like it moves very quickly.
I'm down for anything that has an eject button.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Can put an eject button.
And the first thing I talked to Abby about tonight, I was like, okay, so I can double jump and then eject into some place you didn't want me to be, right? She's like, oh yeah,
absolutely.
And in fact, you could eject like onto other Titans that are like floating around, and then double jump from there again to go to some really place we didn't want you to be. And I was like, sold, because that's got the kind of like emergent dumb behavior that I'm super psyched about. That can be like dumb in different ways.
Yeah. Like maybe at some point they'll have to patch those maps because it'll get too dumb.
Exactly.
Like okay, we found a thing that is
the possibility
over the line
of that is
or
what
the
excites
whole game
me.
will be about that.
Right.
There's something really awesome about games that are about figuring out those weird little points where it's totally broken, and everybody knows it is totally broken, so it just becomes a piece of gameplay.
It's part of the meta game.
That ended up being part of SOCOM at some point.
Yeah, they never patched rocket jumping. You still blew your ass off when you were doing it, but you know you could.
They never took skiing out of Tribes.
Yeah,
it became,
skiing was a bug.
Oh, that was a bug.
Yeah, it was an unintended consequence of the way the physics worked, but it became the core of the game.
And that was always the story that like Street Fighter 2 combos were originally kind of a happy accident, right? That's that whole thing.
That was absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah. They opened up the input system from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Because if you try, actually, I don't know if you ever had the unfortunate chance to play Street Fighter 1, but it's miserable, and like top tier players, like world class players, can't throw a fireball because it's like the input system. Yeah, it's super tight. So they just opened that up, and that allowed the transition from normal moves into special moves, and that gave us combos, which have been around.
And now we have
in a few games these days.
Ultra combos. You know, where does it end?
Monster combos.
Cheers to Team KI.
Yeah.
But now I've taken a weird Microsoft turn. This is embarrassing.
Feels like a segue.
Yeah, I was sitting next to a weird Microsoft turn.
That's true.
Damn it! Now we're back on Microsoft. Just threw it over to.
It's just you teed it up. I like that. Thank you, Seth. So Nathan, obviously, below showing off at the press conference, big deal for you guys.
Absolutely. It was a kind of an amazing thing. We've been working on that game for a while. Really, thinking that it was awesome, knowing that it was awesome, and then to like have it be announced that way in front of way too many people, so many that I probably almost barfed. It was amazing. It was super rad.
So I'm really curious about. You talked a little bit to Greg Kasserman from Supergiant earlier, just about these burgeoning, these kind of fresh relationships that both the big console manufacturers seem to be trying to forge one way or another, and I guess I've heard enough kind of, or have some sense, I guess, of how the big budget stuff happens, but not so much on that indie level. Like what was the approach like, and then just your involvement in the press conference.
So we started working with Microsoft after IGF a couple years ago. They played Super Time Force when it was in IGF.
Yeah.
And came to us and said, hey, we're doing this thing at IGF, we're sponsoring it, and we have like the XBLA prize. We give an XBLA slot to our favorite game. And we want Super Time Force. We had worked on it for like 2 weeks at that time.
Really? That was all the time you guys had spent on that build, submitted to IGF?
It was 3 days of a game jam, and then 1 day a week for like 2 months.
Okay.
So
it was just like some of the guys on the team.
With 3 people. Yeah, just 3 people. Oh. And so we went into that meeting and kind of said, okay, so, think we want to sign this game. I was like, actually, it's kind of only a pet project. And they were like, no, that's cool. I was like, and we want to fund it ourselves. They're like, no, that's cool too. I was like, so where's the gotcha here? It's basically just like a perfect scenario for a game that was kind of just a thing that we were making. And mostly spent a lot of time talking about the game with Chris Charla, and big fan of that guy. Really got it, really wanted us to just make the game the way you want to make it. and I'd never really had that experience before, where we'd give a publisher all these reasons to not want the game, and they're still like, no, we believe in it.
You keep saying like, when do we say no? Like that's
and this is like Sorcery had happened, so obviously there was like some
momentum, and like it was in the awards that year, and
and so while we were working on Time Force, we were working on this other project, and because Super Time Force was going rad and getting a lot of good support, and they were really cool with us showing it really early and talking about funding it, or like there was no handling or anything like that. So we showed them. I probably pitched the game over beers at lunch one day, got some people interested, and the next thing you know, we were talking about Xbox One way earlier than I thought we would be talking about new consoles. And it was it was like one of those things that just like, okay, well, everything's going cool, so let's see what comes next. And
next thing you guys aren't a two game studio, right?
We're a way too many game studios.
I was gonna say, like, it sounds you guys got like a lot of stuff, like small to big. Seems like you guys kind of cycle a little bit similar to Double Fine, where like there's one game. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like one big game that everyone's kind of on, and then people kind of move to the next thing.
Yeah, we've tend to flow around a lot, mostly because we're just kind of like, there's a cool thing to do here. Let's try to see what happens.
How many people do you have?
24.
Okay, that's not a lot of people.
No, so we have like the
Sounds
large
like a
team is on below.
I was gonna say.
I see Dick's going white in the face over that.
24 people. Do you know all their names?
No. I know. Oh, sorry. Do I all know all?
He just writes the checks.
I
He doesn't know
can name
names.
it off for sure.
The little people.
Yeah. Most of them have been there a while, but yeah, I mean, we usually do like Below is our large game. Super Time Force has gotten a lot bigger lately because we're trying to get it out the door, and then we got a couple other things cooking in the background. It's fun to have lots of stuff on the go. I'm like the biggest proponent of small studios having enough team size to make something else, because it's not only is it the like typical business hedge your bets, have like lots of things on the ovens,
right,
but it's also because it's just really fucking fun to have one game in the shit, and every game forever period always sucks at a certain point, but having another game that's on the go that's kind of awesome at that time is like let's just
your mood.
Yeah, take half a day and just play the game and talk about it. Or let's make a trailer for this game that looks awesome, and then you can go back to your crappy looking game because they all look like crap at a certain point, and you're not you know that it's going to end up there. I really like it. Plus, like, there's the other side of it where all of the owners of the studio are all creative people or business people, so we kind of, in order to like all function, we need to have a bunch of people around us.
Right.
But I don't want to ever just work on one project. Working on one project terrifies me. I don't know how people do that. Because
so speaking of that, how do you do that?
Miller Lite.
Lost for words.
I don't know.
Because you guys have been working on this for like 4 years, right?
But Dick gets up to a lot of things.
Yeah, he's busy being.
So it's a funny one. So
ridiculous
our game is a kind of a bit weird because I'm just a guy who's an artist, I guess, and I collaborate with Honey Slug, who are like who's sitting over there, who are like a London indie studio, just a few, like way less people than you, like three or four people, and I do other little bits and pieces as well. Like I do other kind of non-video game stuff, like drawing pictures, selling cheese
at the Olympics, or in car commercials, or
shit like that.
Yeah,
and then you're working on other games as well. So yeah, there is other stuff going on. Yeah, it's not.
And I think it's fun, man. And if you're gonna like, I think one of the things about like independent development is that everybody expects it to be fun, but then you get into the actual process of making something, and it starts really high, concepting is super fun, everybody's having a blast, and then you got to make it, and you got to build an engine out.
Every game eventually hits that grind, but that's you guys. I mean, one of the things I respect most about your studio is like.
I want to hear all of them. By the way,
no, it's just one.
It's not even.
You guys, in your spare time, have shit out games that most people will maybe never see, but that are unbelievable, like awesome stuff that you just make for fun. And I know that's what keeps guys like Chris and a lot of the other awesome people at the studio busy and engaged. And that's just like amazing that like yeah, just go make this awesome thing in your spare time, and that's going to keep you engaged and focused and
We
balanced
did
in
that.
the project.
We did that. Double
They have
Fine.
secret games. They're full of secret games.
We are
my,
full of
that's my
secret games.
Cappy rumor that I'm starting now.
Seth and Nathan Gary have played one of our secret games that is my favorite thing that we still will never release. Cause
yeah, it made me cry.
Maybe if people are watching, they can tweet it at Chris Piotrowski and tell him to release that game.
that's in his hands.
Yeah, that's in his hands. But like when we did PAX with Double Fine, and Greg Rice and I were talking about like, hey, let's put all of our games together, get Steam to package it together, easy breezy. We were talking like maybe we should do something collectible or something like that. And then like, oh, let's make a box. And then I was like, oh, let's put a floppy disk in. One of the guys at the studio, John Maurer, who's one of the Sorcery programmers, one of the Clash of Heroes programmers, he was like, made a joke about floppy disks a while ago, and I was like, fuck, let's do floppy disks. Let's put like just print the code on floppy disks. And Kenneth Young, who's the co-creator of Super Time Force and the lead programmer on it, was making this like weird racing game for fun in his spare time with one of the artists, just like jamming on doing like an outrun-ish, like that perspective of like Super Mode 7. And thought like, Ken, what if we just put that on the disc? And this is like a game that like literally just happened because he was fucking around. And it ended up being Cappy Fine Racing GP, and it was actually kind of stupid fun. And that was like a week of work for this super genius dude there. But I think independent studios have an advantage in the sense that like there is a lot of opportunity to do stupid stuff, like really dumb ideas that should not technically happen.
You're just really flexible.
But that opportunity is there for anybody.
Anyone
Anyone can do stupid stuff.
It is.
You just need to.
That's your message
So
to
yeah,
the
that's
people.
You can all be idiots. If you
Anyone
I've been
can
doing
be
it for
an
like
idiot.
20 years.
Yeah.
But you need
You don't have
Exactly.
to be an indie.
In all
No, you
seriousness,
don't. But it's very difficult for large studios to carve out good people from a project that costs $50 million to fuck around for it.
And also,
And
you
to keep
need
them all
you
employed
need
if
people
you- if-
smart enough to realize it's a good idea to do stupid things once in a while.
And I do think that this new generation of consoles, you will see a lot more people thinking about it and maybe even putting it into action, like taking people off of teams and
We're
letting
going
them
to see
mess
a lot
around.
more stupid stuff on these.
I
next
dude, I
gen consoles.
totally think that we're going to see some stupid
Next
stuff.
gen, let's get dumb.
Next
Yeah.
gen
I
studio.
mean, that's the Sony commitment, right? Is
Yeah. Let's
fail.
Let's fail.
Let's get
50% of our
dumb.
catalog to like. Yeah,
You were so on message tonight. It's amazing.
this one's doomed. God damn, it's cool. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's a shame no one's gonna buy it.
One of the things I wanted to ask the two of you about, I mean, you were there today, but like talk a little about like the Horizon press conference event. Like it was basically, Brandon Boyer, the chairman of the IGF, like Indie Savants, Venus Patrol, all that stuff, put together this thing called Horizon, which was like sort of a collective of indies to show their stuff. Like, how'd you guys get
Well,
involved?
it wasn't
like,
all indies.
No, it wasn't. Media
sure, yeah,
Molecule
so
was there for sure.
Explain to people that didn't see it.
So, Boyer was chatting with Corey Schmitz, who we all know from my T-shirt and like every logo known to me. I think he had like 6 logos on stage at both combined total.
And he did the.
I felt really bad that he didn't do our logo. I think we need to.
Yeah,
get
you
him
guys
do
got to
a new
change
logo.
that up.
Yeah,
He did like that PlayStation loves developers
Yep.
logo too.
He did the
any-
Sucker Punch logo. He did Below logo. He did. What did he do with the Sony? He did Galaxy, Jake Casdell, and 70 Studio.
That's a great.
That game is
great.
fucking magical.
It looks so awesome.
I played,
damn.
dude. I shouldn't even say it. I played it. I played it with a Rift, and it was fucking banging, banging.
Jake's been talking on Twitter all the time.
Okay,
about
good.
this Rift stuff.
I played it. Yeah. Anyways, but Corey had like. So, anyways, Brandon and Corey were talking about like, we want to get games about art, the same type of like limelight, and also think about it as like an alternative. Like if you want loud and explosive-y, perfect. If you want quiet and maybe aesthetically driven, you're fucking on my shit, man. No, if you want like quiet, aesthetically driven, more thoughtful stuff, maybe then this might be the thing for you. And he just tossed it out to a bunch of us. Greg Rice picked it up pretty hard and really helped. The guys from Area 5 came in, streamed it, which was super huge. And it was a lot of people that were just like, well, obviously this is a good idea. Like, why wouldn't we do this? And it was the thing that I liked about it was that because a lot of the people that were showing games were showing stuff that I find inspirational, but also were from people that I am both inspired by and are friends. There was a real like vibe to like man, this is actually really cool. All of this is really cool. There's no low points. There's big-ass announcements, Fez 2, Indie Fun funding Double Fine, Kata, and Phenomena. Like, these are, like, Ghostly doing your freaking soundtrack.
Which is unbelievable.
Unreal. Like, makes me so angry. Like, all that stuff happening at a single press conference that's about beautiful stuff. I think that's like, it's got to happen every year.
It seems like it's the perfect time for it. Like you know, you've already got all these people in town for like covering video games. So you know, day 3 of the show, I think, you know, for us, like day 3 of the show is traditionally of proper E3 is like it's mop up.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, there's 4 games we haven't seen. We need to get out there and do it. But to have this other thing, like, okay, you know, there are going to be like real announcements here. There's going to be like, this is going to really matter. Like it brings some danger back to E3. Like we were saying, we said it earlier tonight.
Didn't feel very dangerous.
Danger. Well, I mean, in the sense that like you used to have that where there would be a game that wouldn't materialize at E3 until the 3rd day of the show, and it'd be fucking crazy. It's like, who would do that? And eventually they realized, who would do that? So they stopped. But like, you know, I didn't make it over there, but I'm like, you know, looking at my phone, and all of a sudden people are just like, oh fuck, Fez 2, and I'm like, oh shit, what the, I got to get to a computer and see what the fuck is going on.
Absolutely.
And Vinny and I were talking about, like, is this real? Did that actually happen? Is Phil just fucking with people?
It actually happened.
Probably.
Yeah, I guess. Probably.
Yeah. Fair enough. It was a good, for us, it was also like, when we announced Below at the Microsoft press conference, it was a 50-second kind of vignette of the game, and it gave us a chance to do like a almost 2.5-minute trailer with more of Jim Guthrie's music that like really felt paced the way the game feels, and also like to actually talk a bit about the game, because while I actually really loved Phil Spencer's introduction to the game. I think he nailed it and mentioned roguelike on the stage.
I was going to say that was one of the most like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like
Phil Spencer's talking about roguelikes.
Phil Spencer knows shirt and saying roguelike.
They had to coach him how to say it. It was like, yeah.
Wait, really?
No.
Ragu.
Credit where credit is due. He was actually like a programmer back in the day.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
I give him all the respect.
You know, I've seen him.
I've
seen him surprisingly active on Twitter, engaging with people and answering like pretty specific questions about stuff.
Yeah, I think it was an opportunity for a lot of us who very easily can get lost in the 17-shooter shuffle, to just have a bit of time for the people that are interested in that to be like, this is for you. Here you go.
And it helps that it was part of a collective, right? Like if it was everyone just issuing trailers throughout E3, that's much, maybe they'll get uploaded to somewhere, but it's much tougher to get noticed. Like having anchors like you guys, Double Fine, where it's like, all right, you're going to get butts in seats, and now you've got these people here. We're going to show you some really weird stuff.
I mean, we've talked
like
a little bit
butts?
about.
Tell me more about these butts.
We've talked about,
do you have Google Glass?
Too many shooters, too many racing games, but I felt it was just a really, really well balanced E3. It had more breadth and depth to the games that were being shown.
There was more good games at this E3 than I've seen in quite a while. There was more good games than bad games here. Like that is really
the quality bar seems just super high.
Can we talk about bad games?
Yeah.
We allowed to do that.
You want to talk about bad games?
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about them.
Name one. Let's hear it.
What didn't strike your fancy?
No, I didn't say it like that. I don't want to. No.
You set that up, and then you just failed in execution.
There's not enough beeves on this podcast.
That's right. We need to start more shit here. We can't have Seth just.
There was multiple games with
monopolizing.
8 in the title. Dynasty Warriors 8,
yeah.
Mario Kart 8.
Yep.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 8 plus 8.
Can you say anything more about like how Below plays? I know you showed like a more atmospheric.
Oh yeah,
trailer.
totally.
Did you get to actually show it to anybody?
No. We're in tease phase right now. We're
So the meeting I booked with Microsoft, where they said you're going to check out Below, was just fallacious from the very beginning.
It's news to me, man.
That sucked. I was all excited to see that game today, and then I got
show it to you, man.
In place, what can you
It's
tell about
I
it?
did get to see the swear game at that meeting though. So.
D4, man. That's some crazy stuff. It's our take on a roguelike, or the kind of like key tentpoles of a roguelike. It's a game about exploration, like really about exploration, exploring the world. Like you play a small character, sword and a shield, maybe another weapon on your back, and you can get a bunch of other weapons, but whatever, that's not important. Not a loot grab or anything.
Right.
But it's about exploring single screen dungeons, predominantly. It's about exploring the actual spaces itself, about exploring the combat system, which is really challenging. You're gonna die a lot, but it's totally meant to be fair. You're gonna die because you have not experienced it enough, or you made a glaring error, and you're gonna die, and death is permanent. But while you're exploring, the main goal is to just survive. You're just trying to stay alive, to get deeper into the depths. And if you manage to survive, once you learn a lot about the systems and about the controls and about the space that you're in, that's when you actually start discovering the game. That's when you learn. I mean, there's a story there, but it's mostly about history. It's about lore in this dungeon, in the depths. And if you are perceptive, if you care about the details, if you care about the aesthetics, if you listen to Jim Guthrie's music, then you will start picking up more and more about the story. There's no text in the game. There's no tutorials in the game. There's no dialogue in the game. It's meant to be you as this tiny character exploring and hopefully surviving enough to. And if you want to just go in there and hack and slash. You're gonna die, but you can do it. It's up to you. But if you're perceptive and if you care about the space and if you want to explore, then the game's gonna open up.
Any specific inspiration for this other than just kind of generally roguelikes or?
Well, I think we were definitely like a lot of this is a lot of it came out of the experience from Sword and Sorcery.
Yeah, talk about the connection. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the connection is creatively Sorcery was Super Brothers, Jim Guthrie, and Chris, our creative director. And even before Sorcery started, Chris was really passionate about this idea, and we started trying to do it. But we knew that it was the larger game, and we knew there was no fucking way we could pay for it. And when Sorcery happened, and kind of it was the merging of the vision and the kind of what aesthetically and design-wise Craig and Chris and Jim liked, and it worked. It gave us a lot of confidence. It gave us the money to be able to fund the game, and it also gave Chris kind of allowed us to give Chris the space to start crafting this game with our artists and with our programmers. And so it came out of some of the similar sensibilities of Sorcery in some ways, but really it's kind of like us taking that and taking the stuff that we loved about, even more recent roguelike type stuff, the FTLs and Spelunkies and Dark Souls and all stuff that happened after we started kind of working on this game, but then proved out that actually people do really want hardcore, almost brutal shit.
So you guys were working on this before kind of that wave hit?
Chris started working creatively on the game before Demon Souls came out.
Wow. Okay.
And it sounds like I'm totally be we were there first, but this is an idea that
it's a zeitgeist thing. Everybody's
totally,
and tunes in at the same time.
Games got super easy, and someone went well, remember when games were hard?
Yeah, and I love making shit like that. I love the idea of not holding hands, and because I do believe that people really want to find stuff for themselves, learn shit for themselves, and not have an opportunity to press the easy button and walk their way through it. I mean, there are games that function phenomenally like that, and I'm not trying to belittle them.
There's just a whole lot of them.
It's just the norm now.
Too many of them are function in that capacity.
Yeah.
I think that's why, not that Demon Souls and Dark Souls aren't great games, but part of the reason they hit is because they just whacked on a nerve that people were like, I forgot that existed.
Yeah. You care about things that you learn on your own. I learned this on the streets. I had to learn this the hard way and struggle, so that sense of mastery is really more meaningful, I think.
And it's on us to make that fair and fun, and you don't want to just keep dying and having it be a pain in the ass. But Spelunky, I die all the time trying to City of Gold, and I still play it all the time because that's I want to do that for myself, and I hope that's the experience that people have with the game when they get to play it.
When will we get to play it?
I would love to show it to you yesterday, but
it's not the way that stuff works.
Yeah,
fair enough.
But it's a 2014 game for sure.
Okay. How's it been working with the new hardware?
We get a lot of help.
Yeah.
It's not a tough change from moving from PC.
Right.
And there's when we come up with stupid ideas and throw them over to somebody there, and they're like, okay, we'll figure that out. It takes a lot of load off of us. Cool. Especially we're doing multiplayer and we're doing some crazy ass persistent stuff, and that's stuff that's relatively new to us and requires a lot of expensive stuff. But if it's just part of the system, then hands off and everybody can use it. And I think that's, to me, that's a big part of next gen in general, not just Xbox One, but having a larger suite of tools for developers to just use rather than writing it all themselves. I mean, it's obviously I'm a business guy, so I'm like, you save some money, perfect, fantastic. But at the same time, it's going to mean people can come up with more stupid shit.
So, Dick, how does it feel being like an actual indie instead of like Nathan's bankrolled gig over here?
I drive a gold I have a gold helicopter. Yeah.
That's right. All the Miller Lights he can drink. That's how he's living.
I ride in stretch Hummers with Greg and Amir. Every time I see a stretch Hummer, I assume it's Greg and Amir going to the Sony press conference.
And they're coming to pick you up.
Yeah.
Am I an indie? You know, like we're making our game with you guys.
Tough. You're on your own now.
You wanted to be indie.
You
got it.
I feel indie. I don't know. Like technically, our game's first party. You know, Sony Santa Monica.
But you're staying at my house, so that's
yeah,
like, that's
yeah.
pretty indie move.
Wait a second, I'm staying at Nathan's house, so is that...
That's indie, yeah, that's indie stuff.
Yeah. There's not many of us. If that, I don't know, is that indie? There's only like 2 people.
I think that's part of it.
I think that's going to be the thing that like we're going to have to come up with new terminology for a lot of that stuff.
Indie is like
flaky.
Hippies, really.
Hippies. It's the art house thing where suddenly it's all these movies being made of a style or of a a scope or whatever suddenly it is larger companies are producing this stuff and helping kind of usher this stuff along, but there is still this kind of underlying ethos and spirit to it that's. Yeah. It's one of those things when you see it, it's very easy to identify as okay, this is a dumb idea that someone had and has made real. This isn't just big crowd pleaser.
I really exactly what you just said. I really enjoy that thing that we're like a couple of guys with a dumb idea, and yet we've got this kind of. Obviously, you're giving us some money to make our game, but also like
and a couch. Don't make it ugly.
And a couch. I'm sleeping on a couch. I've got a dog. He's lovely and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There's loads of other stuff that comes along with working with Sony Santa Monica, like especially all the audio and music stuff and the design.
Yeah, boo on the design. But they're amazing people. But that's I don't know. I mean, the things that to me, the indie stuff is less even about like art house, because I mean, there's elements of that, right? But it's also just I don't care. Like I don't have to care about what has come before or what comes after. This is what I want to do, and sometimes that stuff you can position as like a fu to whatever else is around, and sometimes
the mainstream,
right? And sometimes that's how it's built, right? It's in reaction to the mainstream, but a lot of times it's just like this is what I'm about. Like this is how I dance, and like putting that out there, and it's not necessarily art house. Sometimes it's dumb, but
I don't dance well, but I'm feeling it.
I feel
you. Indie to me isn't how many people are working on it or who's paying the bankroll. It's just making what you want to make and not what somebody else wants you to make.
You're not focus testing something to death,
or what you think the people want. It's just like what's coming from
I think that it is going to shift slightly. Like there are people out there making like fucking punk games, like crazy ass, ultra personal, like really dirty and gritty shit.
Like what kind of stuff?
Like I mean, like Cart Life in a way is like I don't know how you speak of our games in the same way as Cart Life. I understand that there is a way to do that, but I think it's almost like it's important for that to be a different thing in a way, and not like different by title, but different by like acknowledging that this is made in a way that I don't make it. Like Cappy doesn't make games the way that they.
We just need like a new. Like I can add genres to our database. One could just be straight out the gutter.
Yeah, gangsta shit.
That's right.
I just like the reason I don't like the term indie is because it categorized as though it's a different type of game.
Yeah.
And like although like there are descriptors as we're talking about, there's nuances to the development or like why they're made, but they're all just games. And like so when you like start to have like it bothers me when like no offense to websites that do it this way, when like the indie spotlight or stuff like that. It comes from a good place, right? Like where it's like trying to highlight smaller games, but it also
it's patronizing.
It is. It's patronizing because it's saying like, oh, what, you're not worthy of a normal story or a normal article, and like we're again, like it comes from a good place, but we're trying, like the term indie has become just super weird because again, it's like Epic Games is indie. Valve is indie. Like, it's just a nebulous term that doesn't actually describe anything.
The Horizon thing was good because it sidestepped that whole thing.
It did. It straight up ignored that whole idea altogether. And I don't think
I heard independent or indie I think more than once or twice.
Yeah. And the distinction felt like it used to be like, is this especially on consoles anyway? Like, is this a downloadable game? And that used to be the split, like XBLA and PSN releases and stuff. You were like, okay, is this something that has to fit into 2 gigs or less, or not? And we had to make a lot of distinctions at that point around awards time, because we wanted to make sure that these games didn't get left behind. So it was like, okay, we needed to break them out, and it got to a point like last year, it was like, even that distinction stopped making sense.
Yeah, the disc versus download thing is
I will,
this next generation completely
I'll
irrelevant.
put Hohokum up against AAA games, and I will compare them on equal footing. And I don't like the idea of not doing that. I actually really genuinely don't. I like acknowledging that they're different on purpose, but I don't like saying that, like, this is the A tier and this is the other tier. I want our games to be critiqued and considered the same way that you do another game. Not because I think it's like I'm jealous of the whatever, because I think it's actually better for everyone if everybody's just like, this is what is awesome.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how much it costs.
I like awesome. I like things that are fun, and I'm going to compare it based on the fun level. I'm going to compare it based on the aesthetic vision. I'm going to compare it based on how rad the music is. Like, that's, to me, those are not comparisons that you make in tiered systems.
I feel like the dual pricing strata of the Xbox this generation has been sort of damaging to perceptions, because you got $60 games and you got $15 games. And if it's not a $16 game, it's down here. Like having it stratified in that way, as opposed to just this smooth spectrum of like, well, we think this, they're getting a little better, like State of Decay.
$28 game.
Yes, exactly. Where are the $28 games?
Yeah.
But on Steam, like, people price things, more or less what they think.
There's a bunch. This one's $9.
Yeah, this is a $9.
And this is a
has been a little better about
game.
it, because they have like $7 games, for $4.99 or whatever.
Critter Crunch is $7.
Or you get something crazy deep like Crusader Kings on Steam. It's like $30.
That was actually not supposed to happen.
Available now on PSN.
Wait, what do you mean that wasn't supposed to happen?
Apparently, there's like a list of prices that you're supposed to check, and $6.99 was not on what price on the list, but I just made it. And I just added it into the Excel spreadsheet, and then they put it up. I found that out later
Their
on.
engineers were just like, fuck.
Because that's the Sony way. And on that note, we're going to take another break. I want to thank Seth, Nathan, and Dick. Thank you guys for coming and taking some time with us here.
Super rad, dudes.
At the end of the show, best of luck on Below and on The Order and on Hohokum. Looking forward to playing all these games. We're going to take another break here, and we'll be back with third shift here on the end of E3 2013, so stick around.
I'm going to go read the porn script.
Yeah.
All right, we are back here for our third and final segment from E3 2013 here in our majestic law offices. I've got Jeff Gersman, I've got Brad Shoemaker, I've got Craig Kuyava.
Nicely played, sir. Perfect.
I know how to pronounce your name. I can
You're
say it.
you're like the only one next to my mother.
Kajawa.
Son of a bitch. Jesus.
Kujaba?
That's.
Should I just call you Alert?
You can call me Alert. That's.
Wow. Has that ever been uttered on this?
I don't think it has. He's bringing back IRC.
Alert dash, right?
Wait, I know, because some other guy in probably the porn IRC had Alert already.
The only 3 people that will ever get that joke are in this room.
Absolutely.
Hey,
audience loving it.
Vid games.
Vid games. Yeah. Pour one out.
No, not video
Don't pour
games.
it out.
Vid games.
Mm-hmm.
Occasional lurker. Occasional lurker.
Games.
Did you really?
I was a lurker mostly, but yeah, I was in there.
I know that.
What was your name?
I don't know that.
He was creeping on us.
Alert _, which is why I had to do underscore.
No, I think it was. Oh God, I don't even remember. It was a long fucking time ago.
I was in there once or twice.
Yeah,
I went there.
You were always
That's
Gleaming
right.
X on there.
I was an undernet dude, so.
It was always on what? FNet, right?
Yeah, we were on FNet for the most part.
FFnet.
Yeah. I was in an FNet hot tub a lot of time, where the ladies are.
Word.
And then with
or the dudes acting like ladies.
With the incendiary comments, we have Tyler from NeoGaf representing NeoGaf well. So
yeah, hopefully.
He voted representative.
Yes.
Did you start the Adam Boys appreciation thread? All 3 of them?
Absolutely.
I love the Bill Brasky-esque tone that took root in that thread.
Yeah.
It's like Adam Boys eats 2 whole cattle every morning for breakfast.
Which is awesome because they used to run Beefy Media.
Yeah,
so that just works well.
There's truth to it.
Yeah.
So, Craig, how was your show?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's apart from Dive Kick, oddly one of the more fun
Everything else
shows
was
ever.
awesome.
I don't know. It might have been because I only had to work 4-hour shifts as opposed to the normal 8-hour shifts. Console wars are good, man. They're good. It's like that editorial brain turning on, which is fun to see, like what people are rolling out, what kind of stuff the consoles can do, and everyone's excited now. It's been a long time,
Yeah, you must be really excited about these new consoles. Being at Iron Galaxy, because it means you can bring your flash game, fighting game to.
It can only be, the technology needed for the kind of flash that we're bringing.
Particle effects.
Yeah, you got the
flash
the
crashes browsers.
the shaders. My God, the shaders.
Look,
Look, PS4 has an amazing touchscreen controller, and we just compressed it all down. We'll never need that. If we bring it to PS4, we'd never need any of that. Just 2 buttons. That's all we ever need. Next gen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Should be a really good Wii game. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Not Wii U,
flick
though.
it up,
flick it down.
and then you can maybe give someone for the Wii U, give them a tablet where they can have 2 big buttons and they can do this as you maybe one person can have the dive button, then you can have the tablet and you do the kick button.
That sounds terrible.
I've heard this conversation, and then at the end of it, Dave Lang says, Craig, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Make it so.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So were you posted up in the Sony booth most of the time? That's where I ran into you.
I was doing a rotational thing. I get kind of just, I like to stay on the move. I don't like to be in one
Moving and
spot.
shaking.
People hunt me
That's the
down. They
Craig
hunt me
Yaba way.
down. They don't know if I'm there. They don't know if I'm Mad Cats or if I'm taking a leak. So between the 3, you never know. Because you go.
You take a lot of leaks.
I do. You actually do, because you go to the Sony booth. You're working the booth. They have PlayStation waters, PlayStation branded waters in the break room. It's amazing.
So good.
Free waters.
Tastes
free
so
waters
good.
taste way better than any other sort of beverage. You go there. You put in a solid 30 minutes at the Sony booth. You go in the back. You get a water. You come back.
A proper half hour.
Yeah. Well, you drink like 3/4 of the water coming back to the booth. And then 15 minutes later, you're like, hey, I got to take a break. Got to go to the head. That way you can just knock out half your shift that way.
Just keep the empty water bottle with you.
Yeah.
And then you're all set.
And you just keep going, keep saying you have to go. It's amazing.
Don't pay attention to the man pointing.
Yeah.
Pay
no attention to the man pointing behind the curtain.
It was like a whole thing.
It's like stage
It
direction.
was
Like,
very.
We're very professional here at Giant Bomb.
So you've been spending half of your days then just kind of watching people play Dive Kick.
Yeah.
How has that been? There's a lot of people kind of playing it for the first time.
You
You have to instruct people like, no, it says dive, but it's jump.
Two things. The first cool thing was people say, we saw it in the streams, and they kind of like, they're like, where's the dive, where's kick? Mm-hmm. And you show it to them, they just go to town, right? And that's great, because in one way, you do these streams, and you see a number of people, and you're like, okay, is this really having any sort of noticeable impact, right? And you start, and there's like 600 people, and then there's 700, then maybe there's 750, and then a couple thousand. But then when they come in, and they actually have seen it, and they're like, they know the game before you even demo it to them, that's freaking awesome, right?
Yeah.
The fun part is when, in the Mad Catz booth, we had Mad Catz sticks, great sticks, but the thing is you have 6 buttons.
Right.
So you're like, you use these 2, and they're like, well, which 2? And you're like, these 2. But there's this weird mental hurdle where there's a stick, and they keep trying to hold the stick, and I just want to slap them. Stop. Just stop.
Don't use that hand at all.
Yeah,
Get on your side.
I literally took some people, I'm like, dive buttons here, kicks there, don't do it. And they play, and they're like, no, just go there. But they start to get it, and then we're good. We probably should have labeled the buttons, but that was the other fun part. Just trying to get them used to playing it without the arcade stick. But or the dive kick sticks, I should say, the kickboxes, right? Yeah, but it works pretty well with the dive with the regular fighting game sticks.
So, Craig, while we've got you here, I guess we should talk a little bit about the dive kick tournament that went down.
Yeah, that's I entered that. It's been a long time since I'd entered a actual tournament at E3.
Yeah.
Hey, Blitz,
what was it? Was it the Blitz last one?
Yeah, I think it might have been the Blitz tournament.
Hey, what a
coincidence! The
coincidence!
Blitz tournament that I entered.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I did beat Craig.
You did beat Craig at Blitz for that arcade machine.
He placed 3rd.
Yeah. I'm consistent, if nothing else.
Solid 3rd.
That's right.
Craig Yaba.
I guess you finished 3rd.
Well, what happened? what happens, I didn't remember any of it until I heard Dave Lang yell Blitz 99 from the side of the thing, and then the flashbacks just came tumbling.
Vietnam,
yeah, and you could just see like my cheek just twisting there, and that's when I couldn't see anything.
And that's when he just completely and very obviously threw the match.
I pretty much blacked out in front of me.
You dove.
I did.
Yeah.
I took a dove.
As opposed to kicking.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was supposed to be 8 different publications showing up and playing it, and then some people didn't show up, so Craig had to get in there. And a couple,
well, I count as EGM, right?
Yeah, you still count as.
I like that.
About as much as anyone else does these days. Yeah, sure.
EGM
so
Classic.
It's not you're not roped into new EGM.
That's right.
And sure, okay.
Yeah,
we can count that.
Yeah. As long as we don't count that I've lost D twice now.
Yeah. No, I don't count this. You threw the match. Don't even.
No, no.
You picked Jafali and then.
I picked Jafali because.
Okay, well then, okay. If you didn't throw the match, you're really bad.
Here's the thing. If there's nothing but upside here, if I beat you with Jafali, I'm the best player ever.
Sure.
If I lose using Jafali, I have a built-in excuse.
Or explain like why is Jafali.
So I mean, I guess. Dive Kick, there are a handful of pretty normal characters, like 2 or 3 that are very easy. Like the early characters in that game are very easy to wrap your mind around. But then as the roster got bigger and bigger, it got more and more ridiculous. To the point where it's just all these weird gimmick characters that are just throwing fucking springs out and
dead even.
Teleporting and angling their dive kicks and all this other stuff. But the thing with Jafali is the whole thing is you have to hold down kick button and charge it up.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing that, his kick is just this like drop kick that doesn't go anywhere. So he wasn't charging it up. But also, every time Jafali wins a match, his head gets bigger, making him a bigger target.
Okay.
Because he's an egomaniac, I guess. So that's he picked a character that is kind of designed to lose most of the time.
But the idea is that you're an egomaniac for picking the egomaniac because like you have
is he the guy who on Twitter describes himself as like a CrossFit maniac or something like that?
I don't know if he does, but he would be that guy.
Yeah.
If there's a guy like that would.
And he runs a fighting game tournament in Orlando, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
The CEO tournament. Yeah.
Or Jabali does.
So
yes.
So Craig, is beating Jeff at video games like? Are you Charlie Brown? Is Jeff like the football that you can never kick? Like, is this haunting you?
Once every 10
is this
years,
your Moby
it haunts
Dick?
me badly.
Yeah.
Is he your white whale?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The whitest.
Yeah, really. Seriously white. Yeah.
I'll see you when I'm like.
I don't know.
49.
You're the only one here.
Right. We'll do it again.
You and I are the only ones here not wearing flannels, so that's pretty white.
Yeah.
Well, this is his victory shirt. Clearly.
Exactly.
This one guy's tournament victory.
There's a lot of plaid at this show.
No, I guess that's the backstory to this is there was that Blitz 99 tournament at E3 years and years ago that we had all entered, and they had sent Blitz cabinets to publications, so I spent a lot of time playing.
The travesty was due to the tournament, like you had the easiest number 2 to play ever. Like Yeah, because you won it all. I was third because I lost going up.
And you were way better than the guy that I played in the finals at this tournament.
Yeah, that was not...
That dude looked like Greg the Hammer Valentine, if I remember correctly. He had kind of
very close.
The blonde, like...
Very close and about as smart. Yeah, so, it just didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to come by? I still have the Blitz machine that I won in that tournament. If you want to, rematch on it, I don't get to play it because no one will play me at it.
Well, you know how things just inform your trajectory, and so the only way I could get over that is obviously by working on Blitz games, for like 4 years straight, right?
That was, you decided at that point if you weren't going to be the best in the world at Blitz, then you were just going to ruin the franchise.
Well, you know what?
Blitz
nicely done.
6.7.
That's right. You ended up.
I ended up reviewing that, and I think maybe I was a little generous.
That was the dark
trajectory.
I'll have you know, it was a 79 Metacritic. I'll have you know.
It's some
the lose of 1 point.
You realize that a 7 on Metacritic is like a 4 in life, right?
Might as well be like
it's not real
on
good.
fire.
So horrible. A 79 is the worst.
Yeah,
but that's that's huge.
Everyone
for
gets
Midway,
their bonuses at 79.
That's the blue balls of design. You get a 79 Metacritic.
That was the tragedy of the Blitz series is that I loved those games a whole lot, and then they became so much like real football that I had to make the football guy review them.
Blitzbro was horrible. It was
You seemed
horrible.
really psyched about it at the time.
I don't know.
Yeah,
if I
you
was.
were psyched to be We're doing some
working.
interesting
Come on, it
things
was
to
just-
be.
it
You know,
sounded
You're
a
happy
lot
to have a
like Blitz
project.
Pro. Blitz Pro.
Yeah, I heard
If
Blitz
we had
Pro as
called it
well.
that,
Yeah.
Yep.
that'd be
That
pure
would've been-
profit.
Now,
yeah.
Hits
Pure
Pro,
profit.
NHL was great.
Oh, don't say that in front of Adam.
What? I liked the game. That was
Oh,
good.
no. A good hockey game called Hits Pro.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah.
I know it was actually.
It
a good
was
game.
good.
I will admit Hits Pro was a good game.
Yeah, but Blitz was bullshit. So all right.
Blitz Pro was horrible.
Yeah.
Blitz the League 79.
No, I like Blitz the League.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Too.
I don't remember it honestly.
That was
Who
whenever-
here liked Blitz the League? Raise your hands.
I thought it was kind of cool.
That was pretty
Okay,
good.
two out of 18 isn't bad.
Yeah.
Good.
How many of the rest of you have just never heard of Blitz the League? That's yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You didn't even start watching football until like 2 years ago.
And you
Patrick.
call yourself a man.
I said I didn't heard of it. Like I don't.
You're a Bears fan. It doesn't count as a football team.
Wow. All right,
Moving on.
let's bring it back to actual
Hostility.
video
Yes.
games here.
I'm immune being a Packers fan.
Jeff, let's talk about
Oh,
some
I
of the stuff
forgot
you saw
about
here
that.
today.
Yeah.
Today I kind of went around and saw some people, talked to some people, but mainly we went to Warner.
Yes.
And I'd seen them pre-show, so kind of saw Batman and
Yeah.
Scribblenauts and that sort of stuff. So this was just strictly, we booked it as, hey, come play Dying Light and unannounced game.
Yep.
For judging purposes, and then of course unannounced game was Mad Max, and then so yeah, the two of us played Dying Light, and so all right, it's weird, and I don't know, it's weird on a lot of levels. So I don't especially like Dead Island. I really don't like games with zombies. Dying Light's really fucking cool.
It's awesome.
Why?
It's
For you, because both those things.
the
Great.
foliage moves so
You
well.
can't keep
It is.
saying that.
Yeah, you
The
really
last
have to
few
move on
times
to
we
it.
talked about it.
More speed
It's
tree?
mechanically fascinating. You get the controls you get, like basically, so you can they put jump on the bumper, they put like
Yeah.
a kick on the bumper. Like
Yeah.
the controls are very
Well-
non-standard for a first-person action game.
So there's a
Dive
kick.
kick.
There's a kick in
Dive
Dead
kick
Island.
controls
Yeah.
in Dying Light.
So you can
Wait,
actually
hang
do a
on.
drop kick.
So do you want me to just give you the Dead Island spiel already? Even though I already gave it
yeah,
to you.
give it to me.
benefit
give
of
it out
everybody
in,
else
in
here.
Dead Island terms.
The Warner Brothers producer who was kind of hanging out chatting with me while I was playing the game flat out said, after the first Dead Island shipped, the guys who made that game immediately started working on this.
Yeah.
Which immediately
Explained
put Dead Island
everything.
Riptide into such a different context.
Yeah.
But I was so disappointed in Riptide because it was not the evolution of Dead Island that I would have wanted, because while I like that game a lot, it has fucking problems.
Yeah.
So this feels exactly like the re-envisioned Dead Island with all the stuff smoothed over that you wanted in the first place.
Because the big criticism was just like, man, it's like they didn't read anything or look at their own game
Yeah.
when they made
Yeah.
the follow-up.
Right.
Because it didn't feel like a sequel.
But it turns out
And
they
all-
didn't make it. It turns out it was a different Techland, or
Yeah,
excuse
yeah.
me, Techland.
Techland,
As
yeah.
the guy in the
Wait,
guy
really?
the guy in the,
We've
the
been
guy in
saying
the
it
meeting.
wrong?
Was,
I am
kept-
never going to say
It's
it that way.
Techland?
He kept
This
saying
guy
Techland.
was not a Techland employee.
He was
I
a
think
Warner
he was
guy.
A Warner guy.
Yeah.
So who
He's
knows?
calling it Techland.
You didn't
Yeah.
ask the important question of like that. We need to follow up on.
Is
that.
that canonical?
But I thought
Techland-
that, yeah, I
Techland.
thought,
I like it.
I thought the melee felt real tight.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It's, and I didn't use any of the analog stuff.
So yeah, it was disabled in the build, but it's straight up in there. First thing I said, well, no, it wasn't even out of the tutorial area. I was like, "Does this analog combat in here?" And he was like, "Maybe. I'll check the options." And I went in there, and sure enough, it's there.
Oh,
You couldn't. Yeah,
I wish there was a Techland guy, because I would love to know like what they think about that.
Yeah.
Like if it's still in there,
But it's
then
still
maybe we made an impact.
But it's still the
saying
very last option on the very last
monsters.
page of all the options. So it's still buried, at least in this build, but it's there.
Well, that makes sense for E3. Anyway,
I think the parkour stuff works really well. I just think like the movement and the mechanics.
What is
are
this setting like?
It's another
It's open world or
it's-
like Assassin's Creed?
So I'm a little disappointed that it basically does look like the second part of Dead Island where you're in that town. I asked them where it was, and they were like, nondescript Mediterranean city, like inspired by Istanbul and some stuff like that. So it is like another slum, kind of, a lot of tightly packed buildings and stuff. But yeah, the parkour is the one big thing that's different. Like the kick feels the same. You still use it to manage crowds and knock them down and
but
stuff.
could you do drop kicks in Dead Island?
It depended on the character you were playing. But
all right.
yeah, there
Because
were.
if you do a run, jump, kick,
well,
then it's a 2-footed, just full-on
okay,
wrestling.
well, that's
kick,
different. That's new. So
which I thought was
you could just
pretty
do a
awesome.
kick in Dead Island.
It was just the regular kick. But the parkour, like you said, the jump is on right bumper, but that also doubles as your mantle, your everything that involves.
Are you
hold it down to
yeah,
mantle,
so
it's like jump and hold. If you jump and hold, then you'll scamper up stuff.
And it's real generous about when you click the stick in to sprint, it will keep sprinting even when you jump or like kind of clip a corner or whatever.
Kind of like
you can parkour off of the zombies themselves to reach.
Oh, really?
Like
and just
stuff.
real basic traversal, like vertically. If you need to get up somewhere, you can pretty much just climb from ledge to ledge to get up there instead of finding like a ladder.
So like, if you find like a group of zombies, like, can you do something as extreme as like jump up on the zombies and just like run?
It is not Dead. It is not Dead Rising.
No.
Okay, yeah, that was my question because I used to work at Capcom. I'm curious. I didn't see the demo. Like, how is it? Was it way different than like Dead Rising 3? Did it feel way different?
Well, it's first person.
Yeah.
It's first person, right?
This game is Dead Island.
Okay,
with
like
parkour.
verbatim.
It is like down to like taking a machete and strapping something electric on it to make it electric.
But they're also like procedurally generating side missions as you go around.
Dynamic side
How does that work?
It'll be like you'll be running the one they showed, which I said these will be random, but I've seen it twice now. Was you hear a child screaming from nearby. You kind of break into a house and find her, and you're on this other mission to go get to these crates before military dudes show up and steal them. But you can choose to stop and find her. At which point you'll radio back and they'll go, "We'll go get her." And you'll get resources for that. There's a skill tree that they weren't talking about in any kind of depth. But
menus are way faster. I feel like I have to point that out because the menus are fucking horrible in Dead Island.
Yeah, they are really bad.
They're really snappy to navigate through all the crafting and leveling and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then night falls and the game kind of changes a little bit.
That's the other thing.
Your character's infected, so he has the ability to send out a pulse that will basically paint enemies through walls and stuff like that.
A little bit like Last of Us. Like
kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. Like Last of Us or Killzone does the exact same thing.
Sure.
So
how quickly does the day-night cycle happen, or is that
they didn't? I asked. They didn't.
It's not. I don't think it's story driven.
Well, he did say obviously there will be some missions where you're required to do them at night or something like that. But he didn't know what the interval was actually going to be. But the basic zombies get more powerful at night, and then more vicious types of enemies also only come out at night. So it seems like at least early on you really don't want to be out at night. But he said later on
it's kind of stealthy at that point.
But he said later on you might like Spectre guy or level in such a way that you can handle the nighttime stuff.
Are there like actual stealth mechanics, or it's more just like they don't see you as
well,
much? And, like,
he was sort of like in the demo. The guy was like ducking behind.
Like you're hiding to prevent line of sight, and I think if you get up behind somebody,
you can stealth.
You can do some
stuff. Yeah. But it's like. They even have the same hierarchy of enemies. Like they have the zombies that are more human-like because they have just been infected and they run at you screaming. Like those are still in there, but they're called virals now. I think instead of infected is the term. But like it's just crazy.
That's much different.
They took so many cues from that game. They just like smoothed over and fixed a lot of the crap that was wrong with it. So and it looks gorgeous. Like it is.
Yeah, like that's
it is.
Yeah,
is it a next gen game?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming to current gen too, but this was.
That seems kind of the same. A lot of most games seem to
cross gen.
What's that?
Split gen.
Most games seem to be doing like both.
Gens. Yeah. It was running on a PC, but I'm almost surprised it didn't make it to a press conference because it looks so good.
Yeah, I thought it was strange that because that was a game I saw pre-show and thought like, wow, that actually, for a game that. It's probably not my type of game. Yeah. This looks like my type of game.
Dude, it's got loot. You level. How do you not like this?
Yeah, I just don't like zombies.
No,
and I think first-person melee combat is usually pretty weak.
And a lot of
it's
games,
really clunky, right?
It's
hard to get the range down. It's just it's hard to do this stuff.
Analog stuff.
Yeah.
The analog stuff changes everything.
You start aiming your.
It takes time.
Yeah, you got to get used to it.
Once you get it, it is the. That game is nothing with I feel that game is nothing without the analog.
Totally.
But did you feel that the basic melee was better than Dead Island even?
Well,
or did you feel it was
I've
just
used
the same?
so little of the basic melee
you're
in Dead Island.
You're just hitting the right trigger, and it's just he's hacking and slashing, and it's randomized by the game.
Well, now you can hold it down to charge it up.
Yeah.
And with the hammer, that's
there's some other crowd control moves, but yeah.
You can also like jump off of stuff with the hammer and do like a ground pound that'll knock a bunch of dudes over and stuff like this.
I'm so glad that's still in there. And I love the fact that you asked, and then it was just buried in the menus.
Yep. That was the main reason why I want to make sure that at least one of you two guys went and saw it because I don't give a fuck about no Dead Island.
Tell me about Mad Max.
Mad Max. The demo was pretty short from what they were showing in their theater. It was you know, you were in a car in the desert. So the whole thing, I guess, is it's not the Interceptor. Like, you're building a new car called the Magnum Opus.
Because you lost the Interceptor.
Yeah, you lost the Interceptor. And so that car gets upgraded, and you have trade-offs between, like, the weight of the car versus the power of the car versus the strength of the armor and stuff like that as you're leveling it up. But generally, you know, the demo they showed, you're driving along for a while. There's a guy you want to take out. He's got a couple of guys protecting him. You've got a shotgun, and you've got like a harpoon, basically. So you can harpoon the other cars, pull parts of them off, pull tires off, and stuff like that.
Is that just for messing them up, or is that...
That's for taking them out eventually, you know, if you do it right.
It's all physics-based, you know, like if you take the right part out, they will go flipping, or what, like
so like yes.
And it's Avalanche, you know, the Just Cause guy. And it felt like the spirit of Just Cause was alive in the car battles, at least. Because,
yeah, I mean, you mentioned the harpoon, then
because you shoot them with a harpoon, and then the physics kick in, and it goes taut, and they go flying, you know.
And then the shotgun stuff is like, you know, guys will jump onto your car, or you know, you'll be right alongside them, and you can shoot their gas.
Were they
tank.
showing just all in-car stuff?
No, I mean, you have to get out and do stealth kills and the kind of some Batman-esque combat type stuff, strikes and parries.
Okay. And there was some like sniping.
Yeah, like stealth kills, sneak up behind a sniper, do some. If you enter the car from the back, you can kind of snipe over the top of it.
Did it seem good?
It seemed interesting and too early to say.
Fair.
Yeah. And they went to the map just to give an idea of the structure. They went to the map, and it's a big open world. And when they pulled out, it had all the activity types in the Just Cause fashion of just like, you know, here's a fuel depot you can take over, here's a supply drop, here's blah blah blah, you know, like a bunch of side stuff. It's very open world.
Is it tied to the movie that they're trying to reboot?
Wait, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Tom Hardy
it's
movie.
already like filming,
most of
or
it's
is
filmed.
filmed.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but like, because that's the crazy thing about that game. Because that game was originally being developed like with Cory Barlog,
right?
Like the ex
this is that
too, right?
Right. Yes.
No, it is.
This is not
it is not that
It is a
anymore.
But they were
Game.
doing Mad Max.
This has been going through like a cycle for a number of years now. But Cory Barlog was like a lead on that for a number of years, and then that version fell apart. But this is as far as I know, a totally different interpretation.
Well,
And I don't think it's tied to the movie because the Mad Max in the game, I'm told, has an American accent, and I don't think Tom Hardy is doing an American accent. I think it's going to be a separate thing.
Is there like, do they talk about the timeline? I mean, not that like the timeline of the Mad Max
There was no
games.
real story in there other than just car.
He's angry.
Okay.
Max is upset.
I'm a little bummed it's not Just Cause 3, like because
me
because
too.
in the Mad Max world, it cements them into certain realities, and the Just Cause games are just like
whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
They were best when there is minimal reality.
What they showed of it was a little humorless, and they do constrain some of the ridiculous action just for the sake of the license and the setting and stuff. But it looked really nice. It was running very smooth.
Yeah,
nice big open world, but at the same time, you know, it's kind of a featureless desert. You know, there's not a whole lot to see there.
Is it next gen only?
No, it's split. It's split gen. The banner that was up in the thing said both console sets.
I'm trying to think, are there any third-party games that are strictly like that? I don't think there are there?
I can't think of anything.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Everything is across everything. Yeah, no, I mean, the business.
I wonder,
like Fantasia
year
split
one,
gen.
it doesn't make any
yeah,
sense to be committing to.
I really wonder if there's a lot of outsourcing going on, bringing those last gen games out.
Hey, you work for a company that does some outsourcing stuff. What do you think?
What do you know?
Are they doing outsourcing?
Yeah, are they like, hey, I mean, Respawn said straight up that they're not doing touching the 360
I don't
version
think
of
so.
that game,
I think probably most of the developers are probably you know, taking the game that they're kind of working on in current gen and like beefing it up as much as they can. You know,
I guess if they're doing a PC version, then it's probably not.
Yeah. It's kind of a natural transition. I mean, it was interesting. You remember when 360 came out, and there's like for a solid 9 months, there was a lot of sort of like Xbox Plus. Yeah,
it was like Gun is the classic.
Gun was classic.
Gun and Tony Hawk are the classic.
Hey, but the funny thing is, like Gun on 360 is where I played it. You know,
original Just
Cause.
Yeah. Just Cause 1 was that.
Oh, that's right. It was.
Yeah,
it totally was.
And I remember, you remember like Ghost Recon was like one of the first like, oh my god, it's next gen, totally like it's only on that, and that was kind of like really kick-started the next gen back then. Yeah.
No.
Advanced Warfare.
You look like you were having some sort of like horrible flashback.
I was just trying to. All of a sudden, I'm like, what of the 15 million Ghost Recon subtitles and sub-brands that they've launched? I'm like, which one was it?
As you did it, like you were looking like off
2,000 yards there. I was on that ship.
Ran into Tom Clancy today.
Oh, did you run into the younger Clancy?
Yes. Yeah.
You ran into him too.
I
right?
did. Right after I walked out of the Tom Clancy The Division theater, then there stands Tom Clancy. I'm like, hey Tom, what's going on?
I don't think he even writes his own books anymore.
No, he
Well,
doesn't.
this is his son.
Yeah. Oh, it's his son.
Yeah,
his son works in the game
Tom
industry.
Clancy the younger.
Yeah. He spells it Thom.
He works for Ubisoft, right?
I don't know where he's working right. He
No,
wasn't-
How would they not hire him?
Well,
How do you not hire Son of Clancy?
Because you don't want to show
That'd be a
preferential
great.
treatment.
That'd be a great game name.
Son of
Yeah,
Clancy.
totally. They should hire him and start like saying like, okay, you're now the CD on these games.
Hire
just-
him. I thought they bought him.
They bought the Elder Clans.
Yeah, I know.
Did you have a chance or a chat with the younger Clancy?
I ran into
a chance to chat.
This
with
is the second
younger
time
Clancy?
that I've
Did you have a chance with
him.
Clancy?
I ran into him 2 years ago in the Disney booth, and it was one of those things where I saw his name tag, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Tom Clancy, isn't that funny?" Then he's like, "Yeah, that's my dad."
Nice.
I was like, "What the fuck?"
You're like the biggest jerk ever.
I'm like, "That's ridiculous
yeah.
and amazing, and I'll take the jerk status for just if that's how I have to learn."
Yeah.
That this dude is actually Tom Clancy's son.
This is
And
reality pushing back on you
I'm
in
pretty
like
sure he
some
was-
weird
I
way.
want to say he was working at High Voltage, and then not. I don't know where
High
he's at.
voltage, and that's in the Buffalo, or not Buffalo Grove, Hoffman Estates.
Yeah, Hoffman Estates. Yeah.
Illinois. What?
I went to a Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory launch party there.
They worked on that game.
I think that, yeah, I'm pretty
They
sure.
had a launch party for that game?
Hell yes, they did. They had chocolate fountains.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Was it? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on, I want to see who I assigned that review to.
Anything else from Warner worth mentioning here?
No. I mean, those are the two things we went to see. You know, the rest of it we talked about pre-show.
Word.
So yeah.
Anything else today?
No, it was like that in the dive kick tournament and kind of just checking in with people.
Cool.
On stuff.
Stuff's cool.
Things.
Brad, how do you feel about things?
They're usually okay.
How was your day? How was your last day?
Busy.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of stuff.
What else do you want to talk about? Do you and Alex want to talk about The Witcher?
Well,
You
let's
saw
see.
The Witcher 2,
Hang
didn't
on.
you? Yeah, so
three.
The Witcher.
Yeah,
The Witcher
yeah.
3.
The third Witcher.
So
Okay.
here,
Yeah.
let me. Okay. What did I see?
Was it
After
2MX?
Warner, I saw Dark
As
Souls
well.
2. I
No
saw.
kidding.
Brett Todd.
What?
No, Brett Todd is who I saw.
What
that,
else?
Charlie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
Saw Dead Rising 3.
Yeah.
I saw D4.
Uh-huh.
We saw D4.
Yeah, with Alex by Swery65. And I guess we went straight to The Witcher 3 from there.
Yeah, we did.
Well, I want to start with The Witcher 3. I want to make sure that we
Okay.
get that in
Yeah.
here.
Okay. So I'm not a Witcher guy. I don't know. You're probably not either.
I played a
You-
little,
You
yeah,
played
but-
The Witcher. You may have.
Witcher 2.
Yeah, I've played the first two games.
Excellent game.
You know, familiar enough with it. I've seen Vinny play quite a bit of it, but
Sure.
they have very much Skyrim-ified this game.
Just open up the world more.
Is
Big
my
ass
impression. I
open
don't know
world.
if that's
Right. I mean, it's a good surface impression. I think
Yeah.
that they're focusing on like handcrafted content and everything like that, not going into a cave, one of 500 caves, and then
Right.
clearing the cave
Right,
out,
yeah.
and then you get a loot. So
But is there a topless woman in every one of the caves that are there?
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are.
no nudity whatsoever.
Yeah, none. It seemed
In
a
the
little.
demo.
Well, what the fuck?
It was a little like the demo they showed wasn't particularly lurid in any
No.
noteworthy way. It was like it was violent and it was like everybody was a little bit fucked up and mean, but it was like
Right. They were hesitant to
This is
show
way
off
more.
the main quest.
This is way
and
more
spoil anything
conversation
for
about
them.
nudity, yes, no, based on my dumbass.
I mean,
fucking
they
joke
one of their
about it, but okay, fine. This is what you want to talk about.
one of their big talking points was that they kept referencing the open world, and they kept cutting to the map, and you can fast travel to locations you've discovered.
Right,
and
but the
stuff like
fast travel
that.
is not like Skyrim. I mean, the fast travel is just between like hub locations and
Okay.
not every single point of interest
Right.
in the map.
Right.
So
Okay,
yeah.
But they showed a really cool side quest where you went to this little town. You were actually there to investigate a step in the main quest, but you kind of came upon a local problem they were having with some like forest spirit or whatever, and you could kind of choose to
A local problem every time.
Yep.
Those fucking forest spirits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's just this, and it's messed up
Taking our
monster that's
jobs.
like a weird wood tree thing that has like this deer skull for a head, and it's like apparently going around killing all the villagers.
So like monster hunting
yes,
is a
I'm out.
is a core concept.
So
Yeah.
But that was pretty key to The Witcher 2.
that's part of the lore. Like,
Yeah,
the character you're playing
sure.
is a monster hunter.
I'm-
Like,
I'm-
that is part.
I'm
of
very conscious that I may be harping on something that's old hat
Sure.
for the series, but But they're
But
like,
if it's what they're showing, it's what they're,
but yeah,
they're
you know,
making
yeah.
a big deal of.
And
point
also,
of
you know,
view.
if they're broadening the scope of this game, I'm sure they're trying to include as many new players as they can.
Yeah, I mean, are they making significant changes to the combat from where Witcher 2 ended up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit reminiscent of Witcher 2, but it's a little more dynamic, and you're not like rolling slowly.
Okay.
You know, just over and over again.
You do a lot of rolling in Witcher 2.
Yeah, so I mean,
especially early on.
The combat seemed pretty.
That was why. I played the early parts of Witcher 2, and I was just like, I don't know.
And it's like enemies are reacting to being hit a lot more than they are in Witcher 2. In Witcher 2, you might be like slashing your sword once, then rolling, and then over and over again, right? So it's you know, they were going for like a Batman Arkham City sort of stuff with Witcher 2, and there's an extension of that in Witcher 3, I think.
Okay.
So.
But I mean, the thing they were primarily showing off was that the side quest stuff really does just kind of like dovetail out of the major quest stuff like more naturally. Like they're trying to make it so that like when you're just in these different places, like stuff comes at you in an organic way that is not just like, hey, go find that guy who has that side quest. Like you're literally talking to the guy in the middle of a cutscene about the thing for the main quest, and then suddenly these dudes run and be like, shit's fucking crazy, dudes are dead, you gotta help us, you know?
Right, and
so
you can
run.
choose to participate or
yeah,
not.
or you can just walk up and say, fuck them,
yeah.
I don't care. So, and that's, you know, and also they were showing off the open world, which looks amazing.
Yeah, the dynamic weather?
Really nice.
Oh, wow.
It looks so good. The world design.
Or were they just running on
I think
PC?
they're running on PC, but
Yeah.
the scope of it is really impressive. The dynamic weather is really impressive, but even just like the little details, like you're running around, there's little animals just kind of scurrying around in the grass. Like the wind blows in different directions, so like you'll see very subtle movements of everything.
And the weather is actually affecting the
tech.
gameplay too.
Yeah.
Like they were showing a boat sequence, and like you can actually travel by boat, right? But if the weather's really bad, you can actually your boat can sink or crash against the cliffs.
The boat is affected by the water physics, so you get tossed around a lot on a choppy day and that kind of thing. It was pretty interesting.
And the demo they showed was like 45 minutes of
Yeah.
stuff, and I was like enraptured through the whole damn
Yeah.
thing too, in this hot room in standing room only, and it was like I didn't even think about how hot it was until the demo, so I was like, oh my god, it is like 100 degrees in this room.
They talk about, so like in Witcher 2, like you can make sweeping decisions that cut off huge portions of the game. Like you won't see certain cities, you won't see large parts of the way the plot can play out. Like they talk it all about how.
Well, right. I mean,
work
Witcher
in the third
3
game.
is not chapter based, I don't believe. So I mean, there's the main quest, there's side quests, and then there's monster hunting. That's
Right.
also separate from that. So I mean, depending on what you know, you can choose to skip large amounts of the content in the game. Like they're saying 100 hours of gameplay, but you can choose to skip. You know, just say again, I don't give a fuck about what's going on. And that will affect
2
things
is the
too.
same way. Like
Right.
like so many side quests. Like it was mostly just like experience grind. Like
Right.
Or like
if you,
like
you do
lore.
what you want to do, and then the world's actually going to react to that according to them. You know.
But yeah, that game looks really, really impressive. Like that was probably
It
one of
looks
the best
gorgeous
demos
too.
I saw at the
Like,
show.
I mean, I'm excited for people to get into it. Like, you know, Vinny's preaching of that game got me to play Witcher 2, and Witcher 2, like, people haven't played it. The 360 version is like, it's gorgeous, it's totally competent, like, a version well worth playing. Like, they spent their time figuring out making that game work on a console. Like, so I'm really excited about the third one to get like a wider audience, because it's not like, well, it's just a port of a PC game.
Yeah.
Like, this is a brand new game that like.
And they're very adamant that you don't have to have played the first two to understand any of
Right.
what's going on in this one. Like they give you a little bit of backstory.
It's still
going
gonna tie in heavily.
Yeah,
You-
it'll
you know,
tie
yeah.
in if you know the stuff. Like the lore will be there, but like if you've never played it, like the story is standalone enough to where you don't have to understand.
I mean,
all
that almost
shit.
sounds like where Oblivion was placed when
Yeah.
the 360
Yep.
launched.
Yep.
You know, like,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing of like, this is a long-running series, but you don't really need to know about that.
Yeah.
We've made it work
Yeah.
for you console kids. and
Come to
it'll be
think of it,
fine.
I think this is only next-gen consoles and PC. I'm
Really?
pretty,
Okay.
pretty sure.
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah.
that
I'm-
it's not- it's
They
not-
barely made that game work on
Yeah.
like 360.
Yeah.
Yes, I will play that game.
Well, there you go. There's
a lot of
there's a
people will
there's
play
a
that
third-party
but-
game
Yep.
that is
Non-split
not
gen.
coming to.
Yeah.
Leave it to the
Non-split.
Polish.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I mean,
But
the
they won't be able to
Xbox
play
One
their own game.
version, the Xbox One is not going to be like
Yeah.
usable in Poland. I
Right.
talked to the game director about that, and he was a little bit upset, So, just a little bit.
Sure, that seems like a fair response to have.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because CD Projekt is super anti-DRM with good old games
Right.
and everything
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
and so I mean, it's just
They're just roped into this whole thing. Yeah.
All right, Brad, let's talk Dark Souls 2.
Oh,
if you think you can.
I can. I'm reluctant to talk about it without Vinny, but we could.
Okay.
You know,
We'll table it.
I could drop.
Table it for now.
One fun fact about that, I saw it on Twitter before we came over, was that only one person that played the demo has finished the thing they're showing. A guy from the Netherlands.
They mentioned
I
that.
believe. Like,
Wow.
Like that. I mean, you know, that's just like a cool fact that like plays into the whole Dark Souls.
You can find his picture on their Facebook page. Apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's great.
You want to talk Dead Rising?
What if we talked Pac-Man Championship Edition
All right.
DX DLC?
All right, let's go. I'm here.
Okay.
I understand that there have been some significant and radical changes to the way music works in that game.
Pac-Man has changed.
Finally.
You can play the menu music while you're playing the game.
I'm in.
Okay.
All right.
I was already in.
Yeah, they had that. I actually have forgotten the name of it, but they had that DLC there.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just Plus or something. It's not. Yeah,
they just added Plus to it or something.
Yeah. And it's free.
Part of it is free.
Okay.
Like, I forget which part.
I'm super confused. This is DLC.
This is DLC for an old ass downloadable game
for a championship edition.
Yeah, yeah. For CEDX.
DX.
Which
which
amazing
which
game.
I love.
It's still an old game,
but it's still pretty old.
But they've added tile sets,
So
like you can make it look like Dig Dug.
Right. So those are paid.
Oh, okay.
I forget what it is that you get for free, but it's more low level. Like, this will bring you back in. There are new achievements, new challenges, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's new challenges.
But stuff like anything cosmetic, like the Dig Dug skin. There's a
Rally X.
Rally X. Yes, there's a Rally X skin. Like any of that stuff that's cosmetic, is part of the paid add-on.
Okay.
So it's weird.
But you
Weird
can
that
get
they're
on
doing
and
that.
download the challenges separate for free.
Yeah, that stuff's free. So
I'm in.
All right. But yeah, but Dead Rising 3, actually, what do you think of it?
Yes.
I didn't see it.
You were at? Oh, you haven't seen any stuff?
Maybe table that one too, because me and Vinny saw that one, and he had some thoughts about that.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about? a more serious-looking Dead Rising game? I mean, how involved were you at Capcom in that part of that process?
No, not involved at all. I mean, we had some explorations in that IP, but I haven't seen it. I mean, it seems like the zombie games are a genre now. Like, it's not like there's one way to do it. Now it's like every year there's 2 or 3 zombie movies. There's 2 or 3 new zombie IPs. It's almost like shooter, RPG, zombie, racing, puzzle.
Tower defense.
Yeah, tower defense, right? It's really interesting, the micro genres, but
Zombie free to play.
Zombie free to play. So like a couple of years ago, I would say serious isn't that interesting to me, because a lot of what we used to talk about, Dead Rising, even Inafune-san would talk about, is the most interesting thing about zombies is the most dangerous part are the humans, and the zombies are just kind of the comedic, interludes in between.
Or they're foil.
Yeah, or they're a foil.
I started thinking about it today, and I realized as I was going to all these demos that I play a ton of zombie games, and yet I don't like zombies at all inherently. I think there's nothing interesting about the zombie as an antagonist. It's just like a generic foil. It's like
just something that is standing there in your way for you to just beat the shit out of.
It is a fodder enemy. It is something to cut down.
It makes sense for it to fall apart in fun ways when you fuck with them.
I am probably the biggest zombie dork of anyone here. Like, I mean, I used to be super obsessed with the movies and stuff, and even I am super tired of zombie games.
But
like,
they still, but again, they serve.
You're not excited for the World War Z movie?
Well, isn't that interesting though? I mean, World War Z. That seems like they're going serious with it, and it's getting great reviews. Like, I didn't expect that.
It seems like it's getting kind of middle of the road. Like, there are some very positive, but there are some people who are saying
I'm just doing Rotten Tomatoes 80%, right?
Really?
Yeah, because it's above Man of Steel, which is shocking. Man of Steel
that
like
is
60,
really shocking.
Man of Steel 62%. I'm not Rotten Tomatoes idiot. So yeah, they're like 80%. So that shocks me.
That is surprising.
Yeah. I mean, Walking Dead is somewhere in the middle ground, somewhere there. Sometimes there's comedic stuff, sometimes it's brutal. But
yeah,
I maybe it's good for the IP to change it up. I don't know.
All right, I believe we have a new contestant.
Oh no!
I'm gonna get up so
fray
Adam
here.
can get in here.
Challenger
arrives.
arrives.
You're good. We're gonna put him into Patrick's seat here.
Adam, can you give me a beer?
Adam, beer, please, beer.
What's this about beer?
We're down here to the final 10 minutes of our
thanks
of our podcast.
It's a valid question.
Well, apparently you need viral videos for entry generally, but they let me do a pass.
I have the largest.
Just bend it around your.
There you go. You got it.
Take a seat.
Bend it in slightly, but you're good.
Sony Computer Entertainment's own
Bend it
Adam
like
Boys.
America. Let's not get that twisted.
America Boys.
Canada.
Canadian American Boys.
Is there a Canadian?
Check 1, check 2, sibilance.
Hi.
Give me a little more. Let me make sure I got you.
Am I okay?
Yeah, that'll work.
This is a daunting room. Who's
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Who's the judge and the jury?
We all are.
or
Hi.
the home audience.
It's warm in here. Hi, gentlemen. How are you?
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, good.
Glad
So
you
you
could,
had an eventful
finally
show?
Make it.
Nah, you know, I kind of fell asleep for most of the week. Yeah, it was busy. It was good though.
Was not
It
expecting
fun.
to see you on that stage at all. First off,
I wasn't either. No, no. It was very it was only I think about 4 weeks out when they asked me. They're like, "Hey, do you want to do this? All the third party stuff since you're the third party guy." And I was like, "That would be amazing." But I kind of didn't. I was like, "Oh, they just probably just cribbed my name in there for now." And then as another week went by, they're like, "No, we're gonna." I'm like, "Okay." And then they come in, they're like, "Your part's about 45 minutes." I'm like, what is going on?
At what point did you send in your Age of Booty tape as a proof of concept?
Right.
Yeah, no, that
Like
was
how good I am on camera.
Right, that was my interview tape, and they're like, "I think you're sold." No, I'd done a few little events, like we did our DevCon a couple times, and I had done a little chat there and stuff. And I think PR had been sort of seeing how bad I would screw up, and they're like, "Oh, he screws up pretty bad, so let's put him on the big show." So
I was going to say, I think I've said this in previous nights here, but one of the things that struck me of that press conference, your segment in particular, was how much that sounded like you. Like, clearly, you're reading off a teleprompter, but it's like,
yeah,
that's Adam's voice.
I usually wing that kind of stuff, but on that stage, there's no way you can wing that. I mean, so we
only Ice-T gets to wing stuff on press conference stages.
Or John Vignacci.
Actually, yeah,
the Beatles.
No, Jack Trenton, his whole intro stuff, he's all
Yes. We talked about it the other night.
He's legit, man.
Yep.
He is when I did the intro for him, I was like, do I get to do, can I just say whatever? Can I, tailor? I'm just like, the ultimate boss. Because the guy's just, when you say, boss, you're a boss. Jack Trenton is a boss.
Yes.
That guy is.
In every sense of the word.
I bet he's a really cool dad.
He's a great boss.
No, that's
Should I bring it up?
We have a long running concept for him that he should be a hard boiled detective.
Unfortunately, these days my pitch ideas get listened to. Unfortunately, our crazy video idea that Shu and I.
Yeah,
I've been bringing it up with various Sony public relations representatives for years.
I'm sure they
last
route
week.
It straight to Jack every time.
He just doesn't answer my call.
It's a very polite laugh that they then turn away and walk away from him.
Can't you see him with the suspenders, with the holster right here, with the Venetian blinds halfway open, with the light on his face, just a slug of whiskey at his desk?
You've really thought a lot about this.
Smoke. He just fits. He fits the.
Now, can't you see Brad with his pants off, thinking about this?
Yeah, that's where I'm going with this.
Is he like a detective?
Yes.
From the 1940s?
Yes, he's a hard-boiled detective.
Hard-boiled noir detective.
Get the bottom of this.
He's a gumshoe.
Yes, gumshoe type. He seems like he fits the bill.
Yeah.
Hi, Adam.
Hi. How are you
How
doing?
you doing, man?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
But I said I would bring a present.
Yeah. What's the present? We were.
Well, I brought. Okay, hold on. So I got.
We were given word that you were going to
It's
show.
not rum, is it?
Glad you can make it in here.
I brought one early copy of Last of Us.
Excellent.
But that comes out tomorrow. So
True.
Mine
that's
already
for you,
shipped.
Laura.
I just pre-ordered.
Thank you.
You guys are impressed. You guys got all that free stuff in there.
I have a PS3 somewhere.
I brought
All right, great.
PS4.
I challenged you earlier because the Microsoft guys
know.
were bringing theirs, and
I
was
heard.
like,
Did they show up? Were they?
They did.
Yeah.
No,
Were they connected?
They had it.
Yeah, they showed up on time.
So I'm glad that we got both of them. I'm glad we got both of them in
That is
here.
the DS4.
So, how do you feel just about the show in general, Adam? Just your take on it from I don't know what the fuck you do the rest of the show. I imagine nothing but meetings.
Are you? Yeah.
I just cook up other 22-second ideas for.
What did I do?
Oh no!
What did I do?
Oh no! You just made it flash. You press the flash button.
Can I ask one real quick
meetings.
question?
Sure.
Why does this click? What does that do? What
It's
does
like a button press. Yeah. So basically, the good thing is
MacBook.
So with the with the touchpad, basically it can detect kind of where you're
used
pressing it, right? So you can sort of do left clicks, right clicks, all that
Okay.
stuff. It's got super high the touch resolution I think is like 1900 by 800, so it's like really, and it's dual.
Did you say it does detect both sides?
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
detect,
So it knows
right,
exactly where you're pressing on the pad.
like a
Obviously,
right-
so you can
right
do like a
click
right
versus a
click,
left
corner
click.
click,
Okay.
pull stuff down.
Is
We've
this
seen
gonna-
people do like UI stuff where they flick down the map and push it back.
You're an executive. You can elect to answer questions.
Especially this late into the night.
Nobody's watching. Is this gonna play into the system level UI, or are you gonna be mousing around in the XMB or whatever?
I don't know.
Is that
That'd be
been
useful.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like the most obvious use for this, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I really like it. This thing.
I think it's the stuff that it fixes everything that I had a problem with on the PS3 controller, and it's yeah, it fucking feels.
It was
good.
cool to see it like on the floor, like in EA's booth at Need for Speed, all with you know.
So I was up in the little room upstairs, like in the press room, like playing stuff, and I went from Puppeteer on the PS3 to like Knack or whatever, and I realized like back to back, like the PS3 controller, if you twist it, you can like hear the plastic creeping.
Yep.
And it feels like you're about to snap it in half.
I actually did snap
like
one.
that thing.
It's just inner strength. It's the rage strength. Alex,
and I never
realized. No, I'm not really that strong. It's just that flimsy, actually.
And I never realized it until I used them both in the space of like 60 seconds, and I was like, that thing feels like a cheap piece of shit, and this doesn't. Like,
no,
that's
it doesn't.
The thing that I like about this.
The ergonomics are better.
It's
beefy.
There you go.
Beefy.
Just like the housing
It's
fits
super
together
effective.
really well. Like it's got a good feel in the hand.
Yeah.
You press guys trying to break controllers in
Yeah,
the back
that's how they
room.
roll.
I mean, what the
That's
hell?
how they roll. And since you did say that they were coming with a controller, I was like, well, at least I can just bring a controller.
Yeah. Theirs is pretty good too. To be fair.
Well,
No, I
you also
know.
brought a
Yeah.
game, so that you officially.
I brought a
win.
game.
So you just won E3.
They're both great.
And it's after midnight, so that game is officially out.
Oh.
Wait.
I also brought the PS4.
What?
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 What is going on here?
Snuck it out.
Holy shit!
Come on! You don't think we're just gonna let this whole week go by?
Holy
We're
shit.
trying
Oh
to-
my God. So wait, am I actually gonna get to look at the back of one of those things?
Let me hold it.
Because
Let me
This
hold
is
it.
from the. So this
me
might
hold
just
it.
be sort of a floor model. but-
Someone take the eBay photos.
yeah.
It's right
I
by
don't want
eBay
you
name
guys
next
to
to
do
it.
this.
I
One of
really
you guys
did not
do
see
that.
this coming. I'm gonna be honest with you.
You're totally not gonna get mugged right now.
Yeah, I was really freaked out, especially where
Everyone
you guys
comes
have
to-
chosen
barreling
to
in
locate
here.
this
These are all.
place.
It's all art studios and
Yeah,
weird shit
and
like
they
that.
were,
It's kind of.
But we almost got mugged.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So it's. Seems like it's been a pretty good show for you guys. I don't know if you've
It's a
heard. I don't know if
great week
anyone's
for
told you
gamers,
that.
Jeff. It's a great week for gamers.
Well, I would actually agree with that too. I think
shit.
that's
He wasn't.
the thing we were saying earlier is
That's
that
the PS4, gentlemen.
there's cool
I
shit on
actually
every
thought it
platform.
might just be like naked pictures of Johnny in there.
Wow.
That is the PS4.
That's PS4.
It checks out.
Down a little bit.
Brand approved.
It checks out. That's a
this is the
PS4.
first one.
Hang on.
For the camera.
This is this is the first one that's ever left like PlayStation.
Wow.
And to be totally honest, like I didn't see it at all. Like the night when we were doing all the run-throughs, Andy House, our group CEO, for all the rehearsals, was using a phone book. And I was like, come on!
sure, yeah.
And even for the price, he was like, $100. I'm like, oh!
You already smudged that one up, Alex?
Yeah, I wanted to see because I wanted to see if the fingerprints would stick or not.
Yeah, that was. I remember hearing
Why
that
is
at
it black on
the
top
Xbox
left?
reveal.
Is that
Jet
the
Black,
sensors?
Matte Shine.
Yeah, that they had asked if the people that wheeled the console out to the stage could do it blindfolded during all their rehearsals because they didn't want people to see it.
Spinning it.
So trapezoid is the official.
So then they
shape,
did
right?
for the stand, like if
No,
you
it's a
notice, it's just got
parallelogram.
3 points, so it's got this
Right,
point.
that's
So
what
when
it
you
meant.
stand
I
it
thought it was a
down,
rhombus.
it's not
No,
like
it's
the 4. You know how you had
parallelogram,
those rubber sort of
Right.
mounting things.
Yeah.
Will there be a stand?
There is a stand. Yeah,
I'm glad
there-
you asked. Right.
Oh my God!
I just happen to also bring the stand.
Are you just gonna like
the
pull
first
Yoshida
official
out of that bag at some
peripheral.
point?
Wait, shoot Yoshida.
Wait.
Yeah.
Now we can answer the question.
Here's
Now
the
we can answer the question.
Which question?
Oh,
Nice.
I see it.
There's the stand in all its glory. I guess
this-
this is how you
Oh, wait a minute. Well,
release and unlock and lock it. I'm
There's
gonna break
no-
it. I'm gonna break it.
Is the
I'm
stand
gonna
sold
break
separately?
it. I believe so.
There's actually wow. That's a really heavy stand.
It's a stand. It's a meaty.
Lock
meaty
it in
stand.
It needs to not fall over.
There's
Groove on both
Yeah,
sides.
should be a groove on the
just
bottom.
just go like
What is
this.
the bottom? Yeah, that looks like that.
Just lay on there.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, there you go.
There you go.
There's actually no question to answer because there's
the
no
PS4
there's no,
stand.
There's no colored.
Can you move your hand for 1 second?
Yeah.
There's no colored logo on there, so there's no colored logo to spin.
Is there like
Okay, most important question of E3, people.
Can you
Which is
turn
what?
the logo?
Remember on the PS2,
Yeah.
actually in PS3
Oh,
also,
the
the
pull-
little
pull and
rotate
turn
logo thing.
The colored
Again, this
logo
is a floor
would
model,
turn.
gentlemen. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if the fact that I got off of our show floor.
I don't want it
a little bit. You know, it really has a lot to do with my job security, which I don't think is very high.
Would this
Being out in the weeds.
Would this boot up if we plugged it in?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it was in the display some. So
Is
we
it-
did like.
Is it full of
We
sand?
had like we had show ones, and then we had like the real deal.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. We had a very few of the real deal. So we're not going to try also because that was not part of the approval process that I did not go through to come here.
Oh, well, hang on, there are
to
locks
show you
on the
guys
bottom.
today.
Yeah.
That's the release. I think they're in lock right now, so I think we did it.
You're
Again,
right,
it might not be the final.
Yeah, you're right. It is locked right now.
Cool. It was it was so neat. Like the night before, we did a booth tour, and Annie's like, "Come in here," and they had this display case. I'm like the whole time you've been like, I was in charge of disclosure, so I basically was able. Had this awesome job of telling everyone in the industry about it. Well, Mark Cerny started, right, way back.
Yeah.
And then when I started 14 months ago, he passed the torch to me, which is a daunting task. Because when you go with Mark Cerny on one of these 3-hour dissertations, that man knows things that humans should not know. I mean, really, his knowledge base is incredible. So having that torch, and I'm just some ham hock farm kid from Canada, so I screwed up a lot at the start. But then once you
accidentally put a bunch of Sour Patch Kids into it.
Oh, there was a lot of Sour Patch, some beef jerky, some rum, but being able to talk it, but not being able to, it was the same one that was on the floor, openly watched.
Well, they were like blocking that on the floor. Like they had like a thing.
There are images of the back of it, company provided. They're out there. It's not...
So talking about something for 14 months and never being able to see it, kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So seeing it, I was like, "Is this the girl that I've been talking about?" And I thought it was. I love the size of it. I was just
your Manti Te'o moment.
It was. Yeah. I didn't know she was a dude.
So it's been a lot of crazy. I mean, like this. There is a gaff thread about you at this point.
Oh, that was weird.
It's there's been some fallout from your press
because
conference
I read
appearance.
all the ones about like whether it's Cliffy or Jaffe, and that was weird. That was weird.
But then on top of that, there's been all these stories and all this stuff saying like, that showed up in that thread that are now like pinning a lot of things on you. Like it was Adam Boyes that got the RAM up to where it is. It was Adam Boyes that got all the PS4 no DRM stuff, all this stuff. Is that are you
take all the credit.
Are you legitimately is that
all the credit?
Is that really you?
No, the whole I have an amazing team of people and. Across the whole company, from like Cerny sort of doing all the specs for the architecture and stuff like that, to guys like Shu. Everyone knows Shu is like a super game nerd. To like the guy, the crew on my team in DevRel, like Brian Silva and Nick Sutner and Shane Bettenhausen, Julio and Sal, and they all have a huge passion for on that side of indies, publishers, and it was just a matter of changing the conversation with developers and stuff and asking them, what do you guys really want? And don't lie to us. Not that they were lying before, but you have this tendency when it's a big development team and you say, hey, what do you think about this, right? And they're like, well, it's a 400-person development team. And they're like, well, they'll route their feedback and then they make sure that it's polite and then they give it to the other. I'm like, it's fine, it's okay. So with the RAM thing, we just kept going round and round and round. And it was actually the Gearbox guys. I told the story yesterday that Randy's just like, if you have 4 gigs, you're gonna lose, you're gonna die. And he was like so angry, and I'm like, hey, I'm just a polite guy telling you about the. And then the whole team's like, yeah, you guys never listen, and you guys are the worst. And it was kind of this moment of like, yeah, we really we haven't done a great job of listening to developers and reacting a lot. Even though the specs again born out of discussions with them, but it's that real talk. It's like taking it to the next level of like, let's have a real conversation.
Right.
Let's the truth bomb this joint,
So were you guys anticipating the reactions at the press conference that you got to the announcements?
No. You don't know.
Yeah.
You just give it your best.
Yeah.
I mean, you have fun with it. It was funny when I first got the pass script. Again, I was only ever given access to my section. And it was all sort of written very eloquently. I'm like, this doesn't sound like Adam at all.
What is it like? I do declare.
Yeah, I do declare that this game is a phenomenal enhancement on that. And I'm like, I'm going to talk about giant crabs.
At no point does he say bejesus, so.
Yeah, and then after it's like, I don't think Kaz likes the giant crab jokes. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm kind of screwed. It's kind of too late. Thanks for that hot tip after the show, everyone. And to have fun. That's the thing, like, people are like, are you guys ready, preparing some more? I'm like, no, we're having fun. Like Shu and I were talking about, we just love what we do.
Yeah.
And we do listen. I mean, that hashtag no DRM thing was incredible, especially when all my bosses got, like Phil Rosenberg was CC'd on it, and then Guy Longworth, our SVP of marketing. And it was just like, as that gained so much momentum, we're like in meetings, I'm like, it's 20,000 retweets. Like, look at this stuff.
So you guys were very aware of it then?
Absolutely, absolutely. Across the whole thing. I mean, Scott Rohde, who runs Worldwide Studios America, he had commented about it. John Kohler, who's one of our VP of hardware marketing, he commented on it. I commented on it. And then internally we came in, we're like, did you see what happened this weekend?
Right.
And everyone that I talked to had seen it.
It's a massive expression of consumer sentiment, you know.
Absolutely. No, it was powerful. I know when I said that, people were like, yeah, cool story, bro. I'm like, I know it's hard to believe that these things have a material impact. But the bottom line is we're on social media all day long, right? We're part of it. I'm reading, literally, I've said this before, that I read GAF on the regular, and it's kind of like my catharsis of, like, you know, some people do stretches, some people go for a run. I read NeoGAF.
Right.
And
it shows.
and because it hurt. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks for derailing that.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
So well.
Yeah, Adam was.
Did I have another beer?
I got some. There was some traditional sentiment there. There's some actual heart there. So of course I had to jab a knife into it.
Of course.
That's what I live for.
Of course. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Lang's not here, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people assume that these things sort of happen and it's in a vacuum, but it's not.
Right.
And then the conversations around, like, okay, listen, we are already leaning very far in that direction, and just kind of like. If there was ever any waiver, you know, sort of it's the scale of, like, we were already in that, like, way in that direction, and it's kind of like, okay, done. It's not even, it's a closed issue, and it will never be brought up again, and boom. And that was sort of the neat thing of, like, seeing that. And at first I was like, oh, it's only a couple hundred. I'm like, I don't think you understand. And the guys are doing all the analysis of how many times they've been retweeted and stuff like that. And our just Twitter feeds were just filled, and it's not like you can block it or hide from it. It's just like zig, 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 zig. And my boss Phil was just like, I'm at 290 followers. I'm at 300 followers. He got a kick out of it. But I mean, it was really, we care about it. I mean, when you look at sort of all the indies up there and all the partnerships we've struck with the publishers around Elder Scrolls and, you know, Destiny and Blizzard, it's our team. We care. Like, it's almost our Achilles heel that we lean in a lot, like, take it very personally because it's stuff that we love. And the indie thing, my crew came up with the idea because they were like, you know, we really want to feature indies. And again, this is when they dabbled, like, hey, you might want you to be part of it. And the whole setup, everything was so secretive about the press conference, obviously. And Nick and Brian were in my office, and I sort of just drew. It wasn't even really a thing. I drew the 9 circles. And I'm like, you can't say anything, but there's these 9 stages. And I can't remember if it was Brian or Nick, and he's like, what if we filled them all with indies? And I'm like, oh, that would be amazing. Oh, that would be amazing. And we're like, okay. And then right away we're like, oh, which ones? Who should we talk to all about all this stuff? And then it was like, every couple hours, like, oh, what if they were playing their games? And we're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then it's like, what if they were all like exclusive or console debut, right? And we're like, that's amazing. And then calling them, and the fact that when they showed up for rehearsal Saturday morning, none of them knew about each other.
Right.
So
we
like,
had Greg on here.
They all showed up, and they're like,
yeah.
Oh, dude, you, who's that guy?
And he referenced being completely mind blown by Lorne Lanning being there. That it was a bunch of other people. Oh, I know you, and there's like, oh fuck, Lorne Lanning's here.
Lorne Lanning is also a boss. He's like an indie boss. Yep. That guy's like literally one of the greatest guys. He comes in and just is always super passionate, and he's so appreciative. Like, he gave me like 18 hugs. He's like, man, I'm like, dude, you're Lorne Lanning, bro. You can't. No, that is a thank you for being amazing and being a part of it with us. And it was just cool. And then when we pitched the idea, because again, we sort of like. So we called it the 9. That was our secret sort of name for that operation. And I'm like, we're not going to tell PR. The guy, we're just going to come up with the ideas. So I'm like, we've got to build a deck. We've got to sell it. So we build the deck. Here's the profiles of all the different developers. So at PR, I'm like, 9 stages. And then we go, the first name. And then boom, they come up and they're playing. And then the second. And then boom, they come up and they're like, I think that, that's a great idea. Let's, so all of a sudden they're like, the 9 is in. And I'm like, okay, what next? You know, then you go back and like, what else can we do? And they were awesome. I mean, even the whole crazy idea about that, the video that Shu and I did was, it was me. I was reading through all the rules when Xbox, I think it was on Thursday, posted up all the rules.
Right.
I'm just reading through them all. I'm like, oh. And just my brow, fuck, carry the 2, and then full. And then I watched your guys
our
stream that
20-minute
night, and I was like,
video.
These are 7 like really smart people that I have a ton of respect for. That's after like half an hour still are like puzzle. I'm like, oh, we'll just do 1 page and we'll just here are things. I'm like, well, what if it was just 2 sentences? What if? And then I think it was a few nights later, maybe Friday night or Saturday, as we're flying down. I flew down on Friday, and somebody sent a link to I think somebody's analysis of all the rules, and I just respond. I'm like, here's the idea. Guy 1 enters scene. Guy 2 enters scene. Guy 1 says, "Here's my game." Guy 2 says, "Thanks." End of scene. And
so good, so good.
And so my boss Scott Rohde's like, "Love it. That's amazing." And my boss like, "That's amazing." And so we're sort of sitting around when we're at the stadium and hanging out, and we're like, we got the head of video editing is here. Yeah, there's video cameras everywhere. We're just like literally just practicing all day, every day, and they're doing all the sound checks and amazing stuff. And I'm like, Shu, you need to do this with me. And Shu shows up, and he's just got the most amazing smile. He's like, I like that idea, right? And so
it's
it's back
real
there.
like shit-eating. Let's just watch that thing. Just going like, wow, you guys are dicks. It's hilarious. But it's like, fuck, man.
We did 5 takes. We tried different ones. I said nothing. I said thanks. I said that was easy. And then so we just did it. We're like, at first I was like, maybe we just Vine it, and we just like put it, and then we sort of filmed it. And we're like, what if? And then of course I get all amped up in the idea. I'm like, what if we put the press conference? That would be really awesome. It would be so funny. And Andy saw it. He's like, oh, that's funny. And then Jack saw it. And he's like, oh, that's good. And then they're like, we're not putting that in the press conference. But you guys can set it out. So then Shu and I, we filmed it, I think, the Saturday. Sunday. I can't remember. Saturday, Sunday. And then the editor guys, they put that amazing 12
super long. That is what makes it.
It is.
That is what makes the whole thing.
That is what does
it. Thanks. And we saw it, and and Andy picked the thanks one over the other ones. And,
you know what sort of did it for me is that, but even like old PlayStation became very stodgy and like, whoa, and they really take themselves very seriously.
Right.
And so now it's almost for me a transition. Going from that to...
It's fine, just let it.
No.
Did someone just spill beer on the PS4 controller?
He broke it.
No, I just noticed these screws on the back are like almost all the way out.
He's completely unscrewing the controller.
He's not unscrewing it, it's just that I think they came that way.
He's doing disassembling.
They were just like
I can't believe it.
It was like that.
What's the ultimate
I'm
unboxing?
unscrew it now.
So... I think we just did it. You just unravel, stop on a show, wait until like at midnight, and then get fingerprints all over everything. It's the most amazing unboxing. There's no white gloves. We need the white gloves. We need the whole...
He's doing an unsheathing.
It was an unsheathing. And I don't know what Brad's
And now he's digging in his chest.
So, actually, Brad, why don't you hang out, because we're going to have to end this thing.
Okay. Shortly here.
Yeah. Actually, we're going to end this thing.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Then I can go pee.
Yeah, then you can go pee.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently a PS4 doesn't get you a time extension around these parts.
No, you got a good 20-minute time extension. So.
What time extension?
Yeah.
Why is Craig still
good
here?
racing game.
I don't know. I'm not here.
Well, I mean, it seems like you had a pretty kick-ass show, obviously.
It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it was real crazy being in that crowd and kind of sitting out there and watching it all unfold. And at one point...
I didn't want to... It's weird where, I'm like, I don't know. I guess it's a secret that I'm in it, I think. And I'm like, I don't want to... But it's also not something I'm not going to be like, hey, guess what? I'm going to... It's just kind of and I'm weird. And it's like, this is E3. And I've never... done this, and I'm like, Shu, I need a pointer. Like, how do you do it? And I talked to Jack about that too, and she was like, this is my first E3 on the stage. It was Shu's first
I guess it was.
E3 stage ever. Yeah. So I'm like, I got to pop a cherry with Shu on stage. That's amazing. But it was surreal. It was surreal, and I was
the cheers and all that stuff
was
super crazy.
It was, but to present the stuff that our team had worked on across the whole globe, and to be like, this is our stuff, and we have fun doing this, and cheese wheels and all the stupid jokes that are my dumb, stupid brain. Because I've collected cheese wheels and I've watched the videos of them rolling down the mountains and just try to have fun. I think that's what the biggest thing I've sort of noticed in the last few years is that there's negativity and everyone wants to find the dark side and everyone wants to find the underhanded what's happening. I'm like, it's video games. We have fun. We love this. Everyone that I know that I respect join this industry because they absolutely love video games, and we started losing the plot. And so with Shu and with Jack and with Annie and all of us, and we're just like, the fact that they let us, I mean not let us, but the fact that the culture of our company lets us shoot that crazy commercial and giggle and have fun and just do stuff. I mean, that is why we do. That's why I joined this industry. And they were crazy to hire me, but it's been a wild ride.
Well, if they're not going to go for broke, why go for anything at all?
Well, it's back to the heritage. When I first joined, I was sitting down with Andy House, and I said, when you think about PlayStation, open or closed? And he told me the inspirational story of like PS1, when PlayStation came out, it was like Sega and Nintendo fighting for closure and fighting for more constraints and fighting for all that stuff. And we came in and went, boom, and just opened it up and allowed more content that's ever been seen before. And just blew off the top, and he's like, "That's the spirit of the company." And I'm like, "All right, you kind of realize what you just gave me permission to do. We're gonna have fun."
Well, if this is if these presentations for the PlayStation 4 are if this is going to be representative of the Sony position and the approach to this stuff, this is going to be exciting to watch unfold. I think so.
So when can we expect Age of Booty 2 on PS4?
Ooh.
Can't that just
Thank
be
you
like
for putting that back on the front page too.
Yeah.
That really helped.
Yeah, that was all
very
me.
proud of
That was all me.
Yeah, thanks for my heritage. That was incredible. Thanks. I got a poor review because
well, again, congratulations on the good show, and
thanks, guys.
We're excited to see what comes next. Thanks for bringing the controller and the goddamn system.
We get to keep this, right?
No, I'll fight you.
You said it was a present.
Trade.
All right. On that note, Adam Boys, thanks for making some time to
letting me barnstorm at the last hour like an
perfect.
asshole.
That's exactly that's the Adam Boys spirit.
Show up late.
Perfectly.
Yeah, brought gifts.
Exactly. It was a very good
surprise
show whenever.
Fantastic. Craig, thanks for coming. Tyler,
he's taking a selfie.
Yep.
Thanks for coming and hanging out. I want to thank all of our guests from all of the nights here at E3 in our crazy space. We've had an absolute blast here chatting with everyone and streaming this stuff out to you guys. I want to thank our production team, Vinny, Andy, Joey, and Drew for sweating hard and being out on the show floor all day and then coming and working this all night. It's E3's hellish, but we've made it through. So.
And there's a bunch of great videos up on the site too. Drew put together like a 53-minute look at what it's like to go cover press conferences and stuff. That's a real crazy insider look at that stuff.
It's interpretive E3 coverage.
Yeah.
I'm now completely in love with. I have no use for traditional straight E3 coverage. I want the first-person E3.
Next year, we're going to get someone to film Drew filming.
Yes,
with their Google glasses.
Let's just take a step back. We were joking about the Age of Booty thing, but it's hilarious. Like last time Adam and I were here, like back on that video, we bring you a downloadable game, and he brings you the freaking PS4 right now. Like, what the F?
What a difference! Well, the gifts.
But
have
where's
gotten,
the rum? No rum.
Yeah. The gift started really great with the rum. Then it was like, here's a billion Sour Patch Kids.
Like a sine wave of gifts.
And now we're back up. We're back up to somewhere around the rum level.
Wow.
As good as rum.
It's actually a flask. It's actually
that's finally.
That's the PS4's real secret.
Xbox One is the new water cooler. PS4 is the new flask. All right. Pretty much.
All right.
And on that note, we are done.
That
E3
was E3.
2013 in the can. That was E3. Once again, thank you guys for joining us for these shows. And again, thanks to all of our guests. We'll probably be back and talking more E3 stuff next week on the podcast. So come and check that one out too. But from our space here in Los Angeles, we say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Book them down.